That one? I think the peanuts can hear you now. I don't need that one on. And
Right.
we are...
Yeah, I'm right.
We're a go, I think.
You are.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, Terry.
Oh, there we are. We're there. Oh, good evening, peanuts. Good evening, panel. And how are we on this rainy, miserable day? I think the peanuts can hear you. And I didn't mute, did I? That was me that time.
There's always one.
There's always the one, isn't there? Yes. Well, I was admitting it straight away, so I'm guilty. And we've been guessing the avatar for Paul today, and Tony's guess he can put it in our internal chat if he wants. That was your last guess, wasn't right though, was it?
No, my last guess was right.
It was right. Okay.
Yes, his last guess was right. Yep.
Okay. And we'll see if we can see if you get your guesses out in the peanut gallery while I sort out what fluff we're going to do today. I've just got to go to the filing cabinet and grab it, unless Peter wants to get it. I left it down the bottom. I left it on the bottom filing cabinet, Peter.
So the clues I was given was this was a French physicist responsible for a significant amount of optical theory and the wave theory of light, which at the time would have put him in direct opposition to Newton.
Absolutely. Yep.
How are you, Blue?
Couldn't find the unmute button. I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I have prospered as a result of the mirroring on your channel, so thank you very much for that.
Oh, you bet. My pleasure.
And how is everybody else? How are you, Paul?
I'm good. Very good.
Very good. Okay, there you are.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Have you been up to much in the recent past?
Not really. Just trying to plan out a sprinkler system for my front garden. That's the extent of it.
Well, you can use
Fluid
Spurs
dynamics.
Chemo's. You can use Spurs Chemo's formula for rocket escape velocity to do those calculations. How are you doing, Peter?
I'm very well, thanks, Tony.
Excellent.
Still down here in lockdown, but it's barely a problem. You know, you just do what you have to do. Wear your mask and watch a lot of Netflix.
Yeah, for the non-Australians here, for the non-Australians in the chat and here, Peter is from Victoria, Melbourne, if I'm correct. Is that right, Peter?
Yes, that's right.
Which is under lockdown, and I've taken to trying to wear a mask every time I remember it when I leave the house. I forgot yesterday, but I remembered today, so I feel like today was a virtuous day. So. But I think that wearing masks is kind of the least we can do to sort of keep other people healthy.
Well, the funniest thing with that is both of my daughters, at any times that they see anyone without a mask on, they're very not much above yelling at the top of their lungs, "Put your mask on!"
Yeah,
and like they're only 17 and 14, and I think. The slap in the face from a youth to an adult not wearing a mask is you quite often see people doing that embarrassed turn and walk back towards their car when they haven't got it on.
I thought you would get in trouble if you actually didn't wear a mask in public.
Yeah. There's a fine involved if the police are involved, but the police are too busy doing other stuff to be everywhere. Terry.
Yeah, it's kind of a social contract sort of thing. We should each be looking out for one another. So how are the Peanuts going with their guessing game, Paul?
Oh, I don't know. Let me have a
I
look.
got a Clivewell says Fourier.
Not for real.
That was my first. That was my first guess, Clive. And I was wrong. Optics. You got to think optics.
Lemonbird. He's the optic guru.
Well, we've got a
Is
surprise voice.
Fred's
I'm not being
sneaking in from
surprised.
Discord.
Oh, that's Fred's.
sneaking in.
Fred's over in the over there in
Yeah.
Discord. Hey, Fred.
I'm just watching what the top teams are doing. Waiting patiently. Not that I'm sort of saying anything here. Just mooting it over. But we have been waiting 18 minutes. 18. That's one.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway.
So, Fred,
Yeah,
are you gonna join us in Zoom, or are you gonna sit in the peanut gallery?
I'll be a peanut. I'll be a peanut. And my destiny is peanut.
Okay.
Well, thanks for the invite anyway.
I have there's a very famous book in geophysics called The Density of the Earth, and it's often misrepresented as the destiny of the Earth, given how. And it was quite jarring when I saw Back to the Future, where they make the same joke except the other way around. You are my density, like he's reading the notes off that he's been given by his son on how to woo this woman, and you are my density. Yeah, obviously he meant destiny, but we use the pun the other way around because we're like that. Anyway, stupid story.
No, it's still a story.
So, any better guesses than Fourier?
Yes.
We've got a surname.
Well, then they've only got to Wikipedia the personal name, don't they?
You trying to imply that our peanuts cheat?
I am implying that I would not know this person's personal names if I had not wikied them.
Can we have less of the implying, please? I always cheat.
There is a difference between cheating and researching, Terry.
Well, okay, research then. Well, I don't know. I don't write the rules for this. That's up to Gravity Guru. That's his part. So if they cheat, well, that's not mine.
When I was in third year at university, I was doing the honours level course on real analysis. And it was traditional in the honours level courses that we were given take-home exams. So they'd give you the exam paper, you'd take them home, you'd work on them for 3 days, and then you'd bring them back. And one of the questions on this exam was a question that the lecturer didn't know the answer to, but he thought that one of the students was bright enough to work it out. So he put it in the exam to see how they went about it, and you're just thinking, well, no wonder I was sitting here not being able to make any progress on this, because I'm clearly not the mathematical genius this other guy is.
So what do you think of David Nicol?
David Nicol. Do I know who David Nicol is?
No, in the Peanuts.
I remember the name vaguely.
This is for the
in the Peanut Gallery.
Yeah, he's got a guess out there and a statement.
Yep.
But he did do his
own.
Except it's not quite spelt right.
Oh, and he said he did his own research.
There needs to be a dash.
And there's no E on the end of the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Ah, Pip, that you spoiled it.
That's the one.
Yes, that's the one. Yes, as in the Fresnel lens. Yes.
Yes, which I have heard of.
Don't you mean the Fresnel lens?
The
Well,
Fresnel lens.
No,
comes from
I
Fres-
don't mean. I
it comes
don't
from
mean-
Fresno.
Yeah, that's what we hear all the time. No.
It comes from. They're made in Fresno, aren't they, Paul?
Yeah.
Well, I've got this video ready, and it's from last episode's the Lindsay Harris guy with the whiteboard, and it's his very first video that he made. So this is where his route started. So the crazy starts here. I mean sorry.
You got it right.
Oh. Well, I thought I might correct myself. I don't, be politically correct or whatever it is these days. And I think it's something to do with the moon. So.
Okay.
So
That's
throw
not
all
a
your
good
knowledge.
start right there.
So throw all your knowledge out the window of what you know, and see if we can make heads or tails of his hypothesis.
Looks like my wife's grocery list.
Okay.
East of the field in Hebrew is Migne equals magnet.
Oh, it's got a mess.
Magnetic field, electrons over proton, magnetism, propulsion, and attraction. Yeah.
I can't understand any of that. It just looks like a load of scribble.
Holy shit.
Well, feel free to
Just
stop
a whole
it.
heap of special.
Yeah, it looks like there is. Oh, well, press play. It's got 17 minutes of this, so if we can... I don't know whether to fast forward it or up the speed a little bit, maybe. A tad. We'll just jump at not minus 0.5. We don't want it slow.
0.5? Jesus.
I mean, the other way.
What are you trying to do to us? What are you trying to do to us, Terry?
I'll try one.
Help, I'm being held hostage.
I went the wrong way, sorry. Yeah, we'll try 1.5, and that may be alright. There we go.
I thought today we could talk a bit more about the monthly cycle of the moon and the secrets, the magic that's hidden in there. All these figures. This is why we lead to believe we live on a spinning ball. They want to divert you from what's reality, and it's all hidden in here, in these cycles of the moon. And it only works over the flat Earth. So I've shown you in the previous videos.
Previous video?
And,
this was his first
so I'll just speak a
video.
little bit about a lot of things I've got in my head. Just want to get it all out. Well, I remember it all, because I can't edit. So.
I'm sure this was his first video on his site. I went right back to the
You'll probably find that someone's debunked him and he removed them, Terry.
Oh, okay. Because I looked everywhere and I thought this was his actually first video. Back in...
Where does 1/72 come from?
So he started off in March on this one.
Interestingly, that's my ex-wife's birthday. There you go.
You went
That
there.
tells you something.
Yeah, you went there.
I did go there, yeah.
Oh, well, hey, Tony, it's not as bad as mine. My ex-wife's birthday is September 11. I should have taken that as a bad omen from the beginning.
Yes, you should have done. So that's Pi Day, for those who are interested. And it turns out the pi is the wrong number. I can explain further, but yes. Anyway,
Okay.
let's carry on with this.
I've got to try and get it all right the first time. So let's look at Enoch's story. He talks of the 14 out here, 14 on the half of the cycle, and the 14 on this half, and somewhere in there he mentions the moon taking the energy from the sun. This is apart from the reflection of the sun onto the moon. It's taking the energy from the sun. It's just the wording, and it made me think, what the heck? What are they talking about there? But then I realised, this is all about creation, and birth, rebirth, whatever, and it's basically, and sex is obviously creating this. And we know this is the bedroom. This is the male chamber. When you've been in there and you're zapped of your energy, the male has been zapped of his energy. This is what they're meaning by.
Oh my God!
What?
Well,
So this
it's half
guy
true.
has
You go
basically-
to your bedroom, you can get zapped of your energy for having sex. Well, unless you're young and virile.
So this guy is basically treating Doctor Strangelove as a documentary. Right? You remember the guy who was trying to blow up the world? Was convinced that women were trying to steal his purity of essence, and that was why he was so fatigued after the act of sex. As a result of which he went on a program. Come on, somebody else has to have seen Doctor Strangelove at some point in their misbegotten lives.
You're explaining it so well, I'm just letting you go.
Yeah, it's your story. You tell it. We're not going to interrupt you.
Anyway, this guy is basically coming up with the same theory but applying it to the moon.
Okay.
There you go. That's all you get.
And now we're going to watch Doctor Strangelove to understand what you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
So next week in Terry's Discord, special viewing.
Yes. We'll all sit there and we'll watch Doctor Strangelove together. Won't you like that? Okay.
There are worse ways to spend a few hours.
Is there? Okay.
So below, this is all related to the non-physical. We've got the physical down here, the female, male and female. Male the sun, female the moon. So it zapped him of his energy, but then he gains it back. And then you go into some of the mythological stories. I'm pretty sure the last one I read was King Arthur. I think it's in there. There always seems to be an evil woman or a witch or someone who wants to steal his power. And this is what happens in the stories. She cons him and steals his energy, steals his power, magical powers. But, this story ends with him getting it back again. And then goes into here. And then we move on to the Egyptian stories, Thoth, Isis and Osiris and all that. About Seth murdering Osiris and chopping them all up and scattering all his parts, 14 parts, far and wide. And then Isis goes searching, but only finds 13. Because this one is in here, hidden in here. It's, the new moon, it's hidden in there. And then it turns out that was his phallus. We all know what that is. And that's where it is. It's in there. It's in the chamber. It got lost in here. So that's the Egyptian story. And don't look off the top of my head. But then we start looking into these figures here. These Sidonic month and Sidereal month. So the Sidereal month is this short route through here.
Sidonic?
Sidonic. It's just.
He has no
honestly,
idea.
No, he doesn't. It is just, this guy is demented. He seriously needs the help of a dedicated medical professional.
Yeah, it's Dunning-Kruger. It's his finest.
There is nothing. Yeah, this guy is just deranged. There's no other word for it.
And now I'm pissed. He screwed that word up so bad I can't even say it right anymore.
It's not
Well, rub it out.
It's just.
Correct it.
Sorry, carry on.
Okay.
Astrologers and that scientists relate to the backdrop of the sun or stars in relation to the backdrop. It's quick route through here. Gives you this 27.7 days. But the full moon cycle, which goes down and there and around and out there, the monthly cycle, gets lost in there. That is longer. That's that. So what we're losing 52 minutes a day. We lose 52 minutes a day. And this is the tide movements, isn't it? The tides. The moon is always 52 minutes delayed each day. And we know the tides are 52 minutes delayed. And the daily cycle of the moon is the ecliptic like this. And when it comes close to here, because there's inertia here in the centre of Earth.
Well, at least he agrees in some part to tides having something to do with the moon, then. Like some flurfers don't even go that far.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Oh my God, though.
Well, at least he didn't go down the Riley Road and say we get a somewhere we get a eclipse.
I don't know if you've ever seen that. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Seven.
No.
But this is like if John Doe had a podcast.
Oh, well, I was going to say, Terry, even a clock's right twice a day, so, you know, he's still got to get another thing right before he beats the clock.
Nothing going on, so if things slow down around here, then they speed up again. Just like they say the moon speeds up out here.
It speeds up?
What? It speeds up?
Say what?
Wait, yeah, but he said we lose minutes, but if it speeds up, then it'd catch up to itself then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but if he knew anything about orbits, he would not say that it speeds up out there.
Yeah, that's the wrong plot.
That's the wrong way.
It's the wrong way. It's the wrong way. It speeds up as it gets. It speeds up at the perigee. Yeah.
It's the old
demonstration as it gets closer. Yeah.
It's the old demonstration of the swivel chair, and you swing yourself around with your legs out, and then you pull your legs in and you speed up. You put your legs back out and you slow down again.
You see, I was tempted to explain this, but you guys all know it. Like, obviously the Earth is at the one focus of an ellipse that the moon goes around. Therefore, at the point, because it carves out equal area and equal time, or something like that, it must be moving faster when it's closer.
Fred, you put an
L
L in
there. Slowest when it's furthest away. Yep.
Fred, you put an L in that word. If you read his comment. Fred?
I can't. You're full screen.
You haven't got the chat.
No, he's talking about Fred's remark in the peanut gallery. Fred put an extra L in the last word.
He put an L in the last word. He shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
His hands didn't fall off his clock.
No.
Are you
cheese slid off his cracker is what happened.
What?
I thought you were supposed to be a peanut. A peanut suddenly vocal?
No, and they're not supposed to be.
I'm a peanut with a voice. I'm El Mas Peanut. I'm a potential Brazil nut. I'm on the list.
I'll mute your peanut ass in a minute. Shut up. Where were we?
So when the moon's out here, the tide's being pulled out, comes in, it's resting between tides, then it gets pulled out here, comes back and resting between tides, pulled back out here. It slows down at this point. Science knows all this. They know all this. It's all online.
Yeah, science knows all that.
Can you just stop that? Can you just stop that? Because what he just explained is that tides only occur on a 29.5-day cycle. That's what he just said.
But yeah, okay.
Oh, dear.
I don't even know if I want to correct it.
Where is this guy from?
I'm not actually sure yet. I haven't got that far in.
I think.
Because they should be sampling the water, right? I mean, they should be checking that this isn't contagious or the result of some toxin in the local water supply or something like that.
I'm thinking there may be lead paint involved.
He's got his multiplication. Jesus,
I doubt he remembers where he's from. Yeah.
Have you
he
seen
certainly
some of
doesn't
these?
know where he's going.
Have you been?
I'm not even sure he knows where I don't think he knows where he is.
Have you? So if you have a look at his calculations to the right, he's got 43.2 divided by 60 equals 72. Right? No, no, that isn't correct. That would be 0.72. And 432 times 60 equals 25,920. No, that isn't true either. 6 times 432 is what? 25,000. 25,092. It's not. Sorry, 2,592. It's not 25,920. So he's out by 2 orders of magnitude on the one calculation and another order of magnitude on the other calculation, but that doesn't seem to matter to him. So it's just bizarre.
Oh,
Like,
Tony,
Tony,
you're being picky.
I am. And then he's got 2,160 times 12 equals 2,590.
Yeah,
which
how could
again
that
is
be?
wrong by an order of magnitude.
This is
Does anyone want him to do your
it's
taxes?
by the rules of quantum eraser math, it is perfect. This is exactly how it works.
Press play.
Oh
The
god.
moon speeding up out here and slowing in here. So all these figures
That's it.
were quite amazing when you get into them and find out what they all mean. Which list?
All these figures and get into them and figure out what they mean.
You notice this calculation down the bottom, 52 times 365 as opposed to 52 times 365.25. He's obviously talking about the normal solar year, but 365.25 isn't actually the length of a year. A year is 365.24. So he's got that wrong. There is so much crazy jammed into these numbers. It's hard to get your head around.
Well, he's got to change the numbers
What are you
to fit
doing
his
to me,
maths.
Terry?
If he doesn't change the numbers, Tony, they're not going to fit his math,
Yeah.
and they're not going to give him the answer that he needs.
Okay, well, good point. Good point. What am I prattling about?
I don't know.
360 degrees divided by 3.18 equals 27.3141. No, it doesn't. No, that doesn't work. 360 divided by 3 is 120. If you haven't ended up with something near 120, you're wrong. You're just wrong.
What? What the hell is 3.18? What?
I don't know.
Where is he getting?
It's probably pi.
No, he clearly thinks that the 3141 after the decimal place. So you see how it's 27.3141, and notice how he circled 3141. That's clearly pi. He's
Yeah.
going to make a big point. But 360 divided by 3.18 is not 27.3141. You're just wrong, mate. Jesus. Oh, God.
What, just on that point he's wrong?
Yeah, well, no, he's wrong on every point. Pretty much
Yeah.
everything he's written
Okay.
down here.
Okay. Well, we need a
Is,
level
well,
of
he's wrong.
wrongness. We need a level of wrongness on each point, like the wrongness scale.
I don't even think Anthony Subarats could screw this up any better.
Hey, come on! There's no extra land on the outside of the ice walls, so he's doing better than Super Rats.
Oh, God.
Press play.
Jesus.
Start here. We'll
Let's
go
play, Terry.
the sidereal month. You deduct this month, you're left with 1.8. 1.8 days lost in here. In the short route compared to
We've lost a day.
the full cycle. 1.8 days. So you times it by 24 to get the hours, and you get this figure here, 332. 332 hertz. All the instruments were tuned to this back in the day, before some Jesuit decided to change it to 440.
What?
I think
No,
he
you
either
don't
tuned,
get.
he tuned instruments, or he probably made them and tuned them.
1.8 0.8
So if you
times
change it to
24 is not
440, obviously you have to
332.
go and buy a new instrument because it's
No, it's 43.2. So he's right. It is correct. It's 43.200 hours.
He just couldn't say it correctly.
Yes, that's right. So he's written it down. He's written it down correctly, but then he's got per month question mark. So he's going to do something with this value. God alone knows what. But apparently Jesuits changed it. What they changed, I don't know. What on earth is he talking about?
Yeah, and I like his idea of like the moon taking shortcuts.
Yes.
It's difficult to tune a 332 instrument into a 440 without making it sound a bit weird or ruining the instrument, but it can actually be done. So, and this has some sort of bearing on our brain. We're all running on frequencies, and changing that, that's just one of the evil things that's gone through history, just like the spinning ball.
Oh my God.
He hasn't been eating the right
Jesus.
electrical foods, Tony.
Oh. Was this the guy you people were talking about last week? I thought that there was a different person.
Yeah, we had two guys last week. We had this guy and another guy.
Right.
This is not the electrical food guy. This is the
Okay.
No, this is a different idiot. I mean person.
Yeah.
Part of that. So you got hours there. You take these hours and accidentally divided it and got 72. That's a well-known figure too.
Accidentally?
I'll get back to that. Well, I'm lost to say it now. For 72. 72 goes back to the Egyptian story.
You picked up on something?
43.2 divided by 60 is 0.72. It's not 72.
Right.
It's not.
I don't think he understands
They're not
what
the
decimal
same
points
number.
are. He keeps losing his decimal point.
They are different numbers.
He'll
It's
probably
not
save
the
all his
same.
decimal points and give it to us at the end.
72 is divisible by 12. 0.72 is not. It doesn't give an integer. Oh, my brain hurts.
Pip, I already sped him up. If I speed him up any more,
No.
Yeah.
Carry on. Carry
soft.
on. I will suffer.
No, we're getting
playing
there.
a game of checkers. Checkers. Where he won, and he was able to win 1/72th of every day, which is that. 1/72th. So over 360 days, because they worked on a true 360
No.
days at the time.
No,
Divided
what
by
the
that,
fuck's he
gave them
talking
that
about?
5
Stop! Stop!
Yeah, I did!
1/72th of one day equals 500 years?
Yeah,
What
that's what
is he
What?
battling about? What is he talking about? 1/72nd of what equals that? What is he even babbling about at this point?
I think I need the closed captions on. Because I heard him say
God,
chickens.
how
No, he said checkers.
Checkers.
I thought he said
Checkers, not chicken.
Checkers.
I thought he said chickens.
Yeah. Also, it's not 1/72th, it's 1/72nd.
Second, yeah.
Yes, it's 1/72nd of something. So 1/72nd is equal to 1.38889%. How is that equal to 500 years? God alone knows. He seems to be making this up. 360 is not the length of the year. But you divide them. Oh my God.
You were too late with that correction. I've already punched a hole in my monitor.
Oh, sorry, Blue. I forgot to put the disclaimer up.
1/72th. Holy fuck.
Oh, Renee and me. I don't know if Renee and me's taking a dig at you, Tony, or not, in the peanut gallery.
What?
Don't take Tony's word for anything. Mind you, he has been known to hang out with Team Skeptic. Enough said.
That is true. I have
Uh,
been known to hang out with Team Skeptic.
But generally speaking, he's stirring him up,
Renee has a
hanging
point.
shit on James.
But the only reason Renee and me knows that is that he's there. What the fuck is this guy? 2160 times. I pointed that out before. It's
Press. Did you
there's
say
so
press
much
play?
wrong here.
Did you say press play, Tony?
I did. I
72
did say press
of
play.
every day, which is that 172th. So over 360 days, because they worked on a true 360 days at the time, divided by that, gave them that 5 extra days, which brought up to 365. Those are 3 magical days in the history of men we do not understand because we live on a spinning ball, so we think, because they're diverting all the secrets by you believing you live on a spinning ball. There's these secret days, and I'm saying they're like the beginning of spring.
Can you stop there? So the Egyptian calendar used to have 360 days in it, and this is where we get 360 degrees in a circle. And 360 is quite convenient. It's divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 12, etc.
15, etc., etc.
Yeah, etc., etc.
Yeah, the ancients loved 60.
Because it's super abundant in the mathematical.
Yeah.
Because it's got so many divisors, integer divisors, it's a very convenient base to work in. And so the Egyptians were very happy to know that there were approximately 360 days in a year, but they quickly worked out that was wrong, that their 360-day year didn't stay in tune with the seasons, and so they inserted 5 feast days at the end of the year to sort of keep it on track, and that way the diversion was that way the discrepancy between the lunar, the solar year and the seasons was reduced, or the calendrical year and the solar year was reduced. But there's no, those 5 days, they weren't hidden from human knowledge. The Egyptians worked them out. Julius Caesar worked them out, right? Back in ancient Rome, there's a thing called the Metonic cycle, which is that once every 19 years, basically, the average number, the number of lunar months is even. So there's an even number of lunar months in 19 years. And so they used to have this Metonic cycle, but they decided that it was much easier to keep count in terms of solar years, but every now and again they'd have to insert what was called an intercalary month. So which was an extra lunar cycle in order to keep the lunar and the solar cycles in balance. They would have to insert these. But under Roman law, when this extra month was inserted, workers didn't get paid extra for it. Basically, they'd already been paid for this month. This month was happening again. Therefore, they had to make do without pay. And so what they found was happening is that the priests whose job it was to decide when they needed this stuff, they were being bribed. They were being bribed by businessmen who didn't want to pay wages. And so they'd bribe the priests to insert more and more of these intercalary months, which meant that the Roman calendar was drifting into becoming more and more inaccurate. And the person who reformed the Roman calendar, the person who made it make sense again and got rid of sort of the need for intercalary months, was Julius Caesar. And that's why to this day, when we're looking at satellite missions, we record satellite missions in terms of the Julian day and the Julian second for each event. So Julius Caesar's time scheme is still used to record when satellites are making their recordings. Rant over. You can respond with awe and amazement, or tell me to shut up, or restart the video. Your option.
Sorry, I was AFK. That do?
Press play.
Yeah, press play.
Press play.
Press play.
Because I
Press
could
play.
we could continue talking about the months and that right up through to the next calendar where it was changed and all that, but that's further on. So
All the magic and religion all begins in spring. That's their first month is in September. So anyway, that's that. And then the funny thing is, if you do this, what do I do? I can't remember what I did there, but it came to 500. That's in the Bible too, 500 years. Something happens every 500 years. I'm not sure yet, I haven't looked into it. But it's brought up the Bible. Back to the checkers here.
I've made it up and I've got this far, but I'm not too sure what I'm going to add in here.
So
wait a minute, he did say he didn't know what he was doing, but then he had to figure it out.
1/72 is 1.3888888 repeater percent. So that's what the first two of those mean. But then he's decided that equals 500 years, and I don't know how he got there.
Well, he doesn't either. That's what he's. That's what he's scratching his head.
That's what he said. He adds 1 + 1 and gets 3, and doesn't know why.
So it's so we just witnessed a rare moment of lucidity.
He was playing a game of checkers, right? And when you look into the word checkers, one who checks the correctness of something.
Checkers? When do you get somebody checks? Oh, checkers. Okay. Bit of an obscure.
He's talking about checkers games, and I think he may think that 1/72 is somehow related to checkers, but there are 64 squares on a checkerboard.
Yeah.
Not 72.
Wrong board.
Something.
Yes.
One of the flat, round pieces, flat and round pieces, in playing the game of checkers. An attendant who checks coats or bags, one who checks the correctness of something.
I thought he might have gone for Czechoslovakia, but he didn't go down that way.
Checks the correctness of something. Yeah. A game of two people, each with 12 circular pieces, move on the board. So there's always, you look into these, look into everything, go deep, and you find some answers. And so that is like 20%. 20%? 20%.
No.
He's trying to find a correlation between that and that. Yeah, okay. He's trying. He's trying. Fred Knott's checkers. The Earth is flat. Checkmate.
20% today. What we got here? 20%. 1/72 of 24 hours is 20%. And the strange thing is, if you go.
What? 24 hours.
1/72 of 24 hours. What the is 20 minutes. It's not 20%. So 1/72 of 24 hours is a third of an hour, which is 20 minutes. Okay, that makes sense. That is at least a calculation where the units agree with one another.
Hey, don't get your hopes up too much, Tony.
If you go 10,000 kilometres from the centre of Earth to the equator, they say it's exactly 10,000 kilometres. Times it by 20%, you get 2,548. What am I going with that? 2,548.
No, you don't. You don't. You get 2,000. You don't get 2,548. What the fuck are you even babbling about, you idiot? Jesus
I think we're going to have to accept the fact that this guy's going to say something stupid about every 10 seconds,
He
So-
is.
no matter what.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I've programmed the pause button for every 10 seconds because that's probably going to be right there.
Yeah, I think you could. It's timing is working out pretty close to that, Terry.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead. I 20. So it's got 1/72 of 24 hours is 20%
Yeah.
of something.
Yeah.
20% of the distance from the North Pole to the equator, which is decided is 2,548 for reasons not entirely
care
clear
anymore.
to anybody.
I don't care anymore. I've already got a hole in my monitor. I don't care anymore.
Oh God!
May not be
Where
exactly
did you
2,000
find this
kilometres.
guy?
But 20% of the great year, 20%, 20% of the great year, which is this,
The great year. I can't read that. What he pointed to.
So he's got 25,920 now. I don't know if that's the Mayan Great Year, so I don't think it is actually, because I think that they were working on a shorter timescale
Yeah,
than that.
mines
Oh.
didn't have the certain numbers or something, didn't they?
No, the mines did have a very sophisticated, but they had 2 years. So they had 1 year that had 365 days in it, and then they had another year that had 13 months of 20 days each. So that was 260, and so there was some particular cycle. There was a particular length in time before those two time cycles
Caught up to one another?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently, according to Wikipedia, the great year in scientific astronomy is the period of one complete cycle of the equinoxes around the ecliptic. Okay, so it's the period of precession, which is about 25,772 years.
is 51.84. 51.84. Now that's nearly 52, isn't it? Well,
That's
that's
nearly
No, it's
Not
nearly
quite.
Same but different.
51.85. It's not nearly 50. No, it's nearly 51.85, dumbass.
I'm not prepared. You can't round numbers the way that, in a way that just makes sense to you. Otherwise, you're just creating so many more free variables you can use to draw any fucking correlation that can pop into your fevered imagination. He's got the great
nearly
year wrong too. So the great year is not 25,920. It's 25,772. So he's using the wrong number there.
Oh,
the pitch of the Great Pyramid is about that, just under 52 degrees. And
50
I
odd
find
for
that
the-
very difficult to believe.
Hmm.
In fact, I'd want to look that up because I think that it's less than 45. But
I think it has to be.
Zebulon 181 says I'm being blinded by science. I think it might be alcohol poisoning at this stage. That's the only thing that's going to make this make sense.
Hey, you got to blow in the bag, Tony. You know that.
And Hancock and all
I
them
do,
came up with all
I
the
do.
figures down here by using the dimensions of the Great Pyramid. They came up with the Great Year. Great year.
Apparently, the angle for the Great Pyramid is 51.5.
Oh.
Right, okay. All right, well,
Well, in his terms,
that
that's
actually...
close.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Oh, yeah.
That's close enough.
Year being 12 of these. The constellations change every 2,600 years.
The constellations change.
Yeah,
I know.
so because of the precession of the equinoxes, the precession of Earth's atmosphere, actually the constellations that make up what's known as the zodiac actually change over time. And so the 12 zodiac signs that we are familiar with are actually not correct.
I thought there was 13.
There's another one. Well, there's certainly a 13th one called Ophiuchus that has come into. But if you look long and if you watch for long enough, it'll come back round and it'll return to its original position. Because basically, we're sort of spinning around in a really slow circle.
Okay.
Tusk says
Yeah, I was
the
reading
Mayan
that.
calendar divided by Rome multiplied by the number of moons directly correlates to the tidal Earth phase of Gaia. Thanks for that.
It's quite simple, Tusk.
Really,
Thanks. Thanks for that.
Really?
And that's all directly proportional to the fall of the ball, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Going right round the 12 constellations brings this figure here. So that was interesting. We go.
No.
Next
No,
point.
it wasn't.
Next point.
I seem to have on my phone here. What do we got here?
Oh, we're Googling.
But the energy, this is in regards to the moon, but the energy, this is science though, but the energy gained as the moon is pushed higher is balanced by the reduction in the energy of its motion. Yeah, reduces here, alright?
Yes.
So an acceleration provided by Earth's tides, rubbish, the moon controls the tide, not the tide control the moon. Slowly the moon, slowing.
The tides control the moon.
Oh my. Oh well.
I was having faith in him saying that the moon controlled the tides. Yes, I was agreeing with him. But now.
Yes, but you're wrong. It turns out, and I'm being serious here in the sense that so the moon does exert a gravitational attraction on the tide that leads to energy dissipation.
Yeah.
But the motion of that water also exerts a force on the moon.
Yeah.
And it is because of that tidal dissipation that actually the distance to the moon is increasing through time. So the moon is moving away from Earth at about 3 centimeters a year, something like that. And that is because of the dissipation of tidal energy. So the scientists are quite correct in pointing out that while the moon exerts gravitational force on the waters of the Earth exert a gravitational, and indeed the Earth itself. There are things called solid Earth tides that lead to everything around you going up and down by about a foot, by about 28 centimeters a day. It's just that everything you can see or touch is doing it at the same rate, so you basically don't notice. But once you put a GPS receiver there, you can actually see that it's moving relative to the center of mass by about that distance, and you have to subtract the solid Earth tide away. So that tidal dissipation, that tidal energy dissipation, is actually taking energy away from the moon, and that's why the moon is moving further away from Earth.
Yeah, I knew about the moon was moving away, but I didn't know what exact reasoning for that.
Right. Okay. So what he just said is that my explanation is rubbish, and the force only works. He is maintaining that the force only works in one direction, which is to say that the moons are attracting the water, but there's no attraction of the water on the moon, and that is exactly the opposite of Newton's third law.
Right.
When you drop something and it accelerates towards the Earth, actually the Earth is also accelerating towards that object. But because of the proportion of masses, obviously the Earth doesn't move that far. Also, it's being accelerated in all sorts of different directions by all sorts of other things that are falling towards it all over the place. So it turns out not to have any effect. But
Tony, just in simple terms, is it a bit like when you swing a bucket of water on a string? Although you're holding onto that string and that string's holding the bucket in place, that bucket is still pulling on the string as you're swinging around.
Yep, that's right. So Newton's third law is that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the thing about gravitational forces is that they're completely symmetric. So if there's a you are exerting a gravitational force on everything else around you, but everything else around you is exerting a gravitational force on you. And it's the same for everything. So yeah, that's a very good example. That's a very good example of equal and opposite force. Yeah.
Thank you.
I noticed that Professor Phil Bell is in the audience, and he's not in here helping me sound like.
No, he's got work to do. He's got school children to teach.
Like that's
the
an
moon
excuse.
down. The moon going past here, slowing the tides, their resting point. The moon's actual path is wiggly line around the sun, with it moving faster when it is slightly farther away. At full moon.
No.
Yeah. And then
full moon has nothing to
the
do
shadow
with
in
it.
the northwest. And about the eclipses, it's the Great American Eclipse. The same. See, when I show the this here coming in here, and the sun being here, this is how you get the solar eclipse. The moon is in here. I'm on to here. Yeah. So the moon is moving around like this, and this is giving wherever it is, is giving the shadow on the Earth of the eclipse. And they say, you see down here, it'll speed up. It's like 3,000 kilometers an hour because you're right angles to the line, right? But then it slows right down to half the speed. There's the half the speed of this movement. You can't get that if the moon is just going straight across. Why would it slow? Why would there be such a variance in speed if the moon is moving across? It's because of this, right angles. It's like watching a plane. You see a plane out in front of you, you'll see it right angles to you going fast. But if it's slightly on an angle, going away or coming to you, it'll slow right down. Sometimes it'll appear like not even moving. I've got stars, what I thought was stars on camera. I'll sit there for 5 minutes thinking, what the heck's going on here? Because it hadn't moved one bit. And then eventually, as it got really close, it turns, and you know then it's a plane. But they can really suck you in, some of these aeroplanes, that's for sure. The moon rises tides on opposite ends of the Earth. Yeah, right, I told you about that. You know, there's plenty of stuff on here I can go into, but I won't. So, back to these numbers. So, that's what you're losing each day in the moon cycle. It gets close to here, losing it in here. And that's where they made up the 5 magical days at the end of the year. 360 degrees divided by the sidereal month. Look at this figure here. This is pi. Pi. I wonder if the 27th.
I told you he'd say that.
Oh my god.
I'll finish this down here. So 332 divided by 60, that was a mistake. It should be times. So we go 332 times 60 gives you the great year of all the constellations, the 12, the whole cycle. 360 degrees of the circle divided by this. Look what I found here. You know, 360 divided by this sidereal gives you this figure here, 318. We don't see this here much. We get told the moon moves 13 degrees each day.
No, it
every
doesn't.
hour of the day.
The moon.
I am reminded of the movie Snatch, and there are 2 quotes that I would like to use. One is where the bemused character, after talking to some gypsies, takes his offsider aside and says, "Did you understand a single word of what he just said?" Because I feel like there was a portion in there where I absolutely didn't know what he was prattling about. And the other quote that I want to use is in the quiet words of the Virgin Mary, "Come again." I don't understand what he's prattling about. But anyway. He has lost me.
Day.
Which is
But
a
it's actually
shame,
that-
because up until then it was tightly bound science. But you know.
Yeah.
It's 318. Look what I found. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm no astrophysicist, but that's what it is, and it works out.
No mathematician either.
So you come down here, you got that. So you get 360 divided by that gives you that sidereal month again. Now 52, because the moon is delayed 52 minutes every day, or it could be that, but anyway, stick to these round figures. 52 times 365 equals this. Or if you go perfect days, it gets to that, which is really close to 1900. And what's 1900? That's the metonic, what do they call that? Metonic cycle of the moon, 19 years. And it's that, and then
I don't know
we
where
go
he pulled that one out of.
72.
Oh, that
Just-
was exactly what I was talking about earlier. So 19 solar years contains, I think, it contains
But I
an
don't-
even number of. It's called the Metonic cycle. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It's the
Yeah, but I don't know how he gets 19 years out of 1900.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, he
clearly
rounded it
one
off.
or two orders of magnitude doesn't matter.
He rounds it off.
They've both got 19 in them somewhere, I guess. You know.
18980 is 1900. That's close enough.
Yeah.
Gives you that figure again. To 30 months. 30 months? What's that for? That must be 30 days. Must be 30 days.
We'll just make some other shit up.
And then and then we take this, and this is the constellation period, isn't it? It's all divine numbers, mate. Egyptians, Bible, it's all there. Times 12. Gives you that. Maybe that should be 2, can't remember. Anyway. So that's that. I thought that was pretty freaky.
What? He agrees with himself, and then he did, yeah. Then he doesn't
And
know.
then he goes, factor of 2. Doesn't matter. Who gives a fuck? Let's move on.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay. That's about it.
That's how he ended it.
Just a mic drop.
Yeah, that's it.
Come out, drop a bunch of knowledge on people, and just walk off. That's
Yeah.
it. That's your lot. Well, that was epic.
Oh,
Like I
thank you.
say, I want to know where that man. I want to know where that man lives.
Well, his accent is very slightly Kiwi. Very slightly.
I wouldn't have said so. I think he's Australian.
Well, he could have
Yeah,
came
I'm-
over.
I'm-
He could have came over here at one point.
Oh,
Well, that was
gosh.
his first video, so... And he hasn't got a lot of videos on his channel, so... We might not play it every week,
Yeah.
but we might play one every now and again.
Okay. Well, this
What have we
doesn't.
We do have
we'll
some
book
other
you in
type...
next time, Tony, that we do him.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
good.
Yeah, we will. We'll let you
Good,
know, Tony, when
yeah.
we do him again. Or no, only when Tony comes on, we'll do him.
All right. That's a much better plan because I think if you give me warning, I might arrange to be somewhere else.
Oh, okay, so we won't tell you when you come on that we're playing. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll surprise you.
So, yeah.
We did have a couple of other derps. I don't know how long those other ones were.
Holy
Where did I have them put away, Peter? Those other ones we looked at the other day.
Was it in any other vids?
Any other vids?
Clive Wells says he has something about a toroidal magnetic field about the North Pole.
Okay.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
We've got... Where are we? Find it now. Find the ones you dropped in. And
Yeah,
Paul dropped
yeah.
in. Paul dropped in something. Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Something. Flat Earth. Our radiant sun is
Very good.
closer than you think. That goes.
Andrea
For,
Huddle
that goes
says
only for
169, which is 13 squared.
That goes for 6 minutes. That one. What's that other one? Atmospheric light extinction, flat Earth. What did that one go for?
That's a short one.
That's a
Terry.
3-minute one. Which do you think would be better out of the two, regardless of the time factor, out of the two of them? The Radiant Sun one looks interesting. It's close to our Radiant
Either
Sun.
one. They're both completely wrong, but
Yeah.
you know.
We've
They're
got a
equally
guy.
just as wrong in their own in their own particular way.
We've got a 27-minute one of a guy sitting in his car ranting on, and it's not who you think it is.
No, I wouldn't do that one.
Okay.
Who
Peter put
who
our
is
guy.
it who is sitting in the...
Oh, he's not. It's not that guy you're thinking
for
of.
fuck's sake.
The one that sits in a car. It's someone else.
Yeah, the flat earthers seem to be particularly fond of sitting in cars ranting.
Well, CC I can understand because his wife doesn't let him do it in the house anymore.
Yeah, or in the kitchen. Yeah. Peter put somebody called B58. I'd say B Billy or something, and he's sitting on the couch ranting on. So that's the choices we've got. So it looks like we might go. We'll go for the 6-minute Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, Zodiac clock app. We'll have a look at that one. And if we've got time, we'll do the 3-minute one. Okay. Now I haven't seen this, so I can't give you any. I can't be biased or whatever. Okay. And it's... I'm not sure who the channel is, but Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, Zodiac Clock app is the actual channel. So... Alright.
Hey folks, Luke here. Let's talk about infrared and radiant energy. I grew up on the beach in Oregon when I was young and spent a lot of time around bonfires. And one of the things that you notice as a kid around bonfires is that when you're cold, you just get closer. And if you're too hot, you get farther away. That's the only way to adjust how warm you are. You can't change your angle toward the fire, say 23 degrees, or maybe what's twice that, 40,
no.
60.
Is he trying to use
I already know. I already know where he's going with this from just what he's said.
Yeah. and he's wrong. Try lying down, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Try lying down with your feet next to the fire. See how see which part gets the most energy from the fire. Jesus.
Yeah.
Degrees, leaning forward, leaning back, it doesn't matter. If you're around a big hot fire, you need to get away from it or get closer to it to adjust your comfort zone, because radiant energy is very powerful and you can feel it. One of the interesting things about it is it's part of the
saying that radiant energy is very powerful is not really correct. I mean, it depends how strong that radiant energy is. I mean, it could be as weak as anything. It could be strong, or it could be weak.
Yeah.
It could be a candle, or it could be your whole house.
Yeah, yeah. Or it could be a nuclear furnace like the sun.
So, Dora,
Very strong.
Dora,
But very strong radiant energy is very powerful. So, you know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost right.
that's
Powerful
true.
radiant energy is powerful.
Yeah, that's good. God, Paul, right to the Nobel Prize Committee immediately.
Yeah. Continue.
No, Dora quoted something that Tony was picking up on.
So Dora just brings up the inverse square law, which is part of what's going on here. But so if you move from 1 meter to 2 meters away from a point source, you're going to a point source of radiation. You're going to decrease the amount of radiation you get by a factor of 4. But what he's actually talking about here is the inclination of the Earth towards the sun and how this impacts on seasonal energy, because the energy received at Earth's surface at a particular point on Earth's surface depends on the inclination of that surface to the sun. So if
Varies
it's
with
pointing
cosine
towards
of the
the
angle,
sun,
doesn't it?
yes, something like that. It depends depends which angle. It's cosine of some angle, yeah.
Yeah.
Either the latitude or the co-latitude. Who cares? But
I think it's the inverse tooth law, isn't it?
the inverse tooth.
Teeth.
Oh, wait a minute. That's right. It's the teeth law. The inverse teeth law.
It's the inverse tooth law. Yes, that's the one. But yeah, it's a yes.
Okay.
Electromagnetic
John Rapp tells me it's a
spectrum,
quarter.
and it's a wavelength, and it is virtually not absorbed by air at all. If you have a clear day, it travels at the speed of light, and when it hits an object, liquid or solid, that's when it is converted into thermal energy. You've seen this technology employed at every buffet you've ever been to, and they have the infrared heaters above the food. So it's something that has nothing to do with the temperature of the air around you, even though meteorology would explain air masses and cold fronts and warm fronts and this sort of thing. But if you've ever been in a tanning bed,
I thought they put the infrared on there for the light, something to do with bacteria.
Well,
To
I
have
think
light.
it's well, bacteria are mostly adversely responsive to temperature, so they find it difficult to. They find it difficult. It's not so much light. It's
Okay.
temperature, and so it's infrared.
Tanning beds don't work on infrared, you dipshit.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, and we're warmed by X-rays as well. Yeah, Phil's. Yeah, Tony. Phil's free now. He's probably finished his class.
Well, get him in there. Get him in here.
Let me say this. I probably wouldn't advise you warm yourself up with X-rays.
No.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Good point, Phil.
Yeah.
Safety
You only
check.
do it once.
I think you'll get a headache before you get warm.
Yeah.
I have had that many X-rays in the last few weeks. It's not funny. So I've probably been warmed up by them, but
Yeah.
probably not a good idea.
Yeah. So did you see the previous video, Phil?
No, I haven't had a chance to. I've been in hospital all day, and then I've got a class this afternoon, so I haven't had it.
Okay.
So
this would explain why you're being coherent, because I had to watch that video, and it was incredibly traumatic.
But wait, there's more.
Now you've got me intrigued. I have to watch it.
Well, don't worry, Phil. We're going to be getting more of him in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. Anyway, carry on. I was enjoying what you said.
Yeah. Well, we'll stop it at any time, Phil, if you want.
Yeah. No worries.
you know that the heat from the lamps is instantaneous on the surface of your skin. The sun is the exact same way. Now,
No, it isn't.
I've lived.
Yeah, the speed of light's a thing.
So the way the sun, so as he points out, the atmosphere is transparent to light in the visible spectrum, and it comes down to Earth and it impacts on the Earth. It is received by objects at or near Earth's surface, who then re-radiate that energy in the infrared spectrum. And that's how we get heat from sunlight. But that's in no way similar to how tanning beds work. Tanning beds do not work by cooking you.
Lived in California valleys and in southern Oregon, and I spent a good deal of time in the desert. And I can tell you, when you're out in the desert, it doesn't matter. It can be 36 degrees in the morning. As soon as that sun pops up, all the warm clothes come off. Spare the long sleeves so you don't get sunburned, because it will mercilessly bake you all day long. If you've ever lived any place hot, you know that you roll up the tinted window when the sun is scorching you. It's not even comfortable.
But hang on, stop. He already made the qualifying point that the temperature around him was already 36 degrees. It's not the sun heating you up, dude. It's the air around you.
He's right. It is the sunlight. So if you look, for instance, at the moon, right? If you look at the moon, when the sun is directly overhead on the moon is up near boiling point, right? It's really, really hot. And then it gets really, really cold again as soon as you're not underneath the sun. That's what happens when you don't have an atmosphere around. So energy received from the sun does work quite well. Does cause you to heat up, and does have that effect for the purpose that I was just saying. But he doesn't really seem to understand that we know all this. So it's. Am I right with what I just said, Phil? Like the temperature on the moon gets really, really hot when the sun is directly overhead, right?
Yep.
Yes, that's quite correct. Yeah. So it's nearly impossible to be. You have to be suited up really, really well to be able to withstand the temperature on the moon if the sun is directly at it.
Yeah.
But what I was saying was that he made that statement that as soon as the sun comes up, off come the clothes.
Yeah.
But the sun's not going to have much effect as it pops up over the horizon. The reason why he's taking his clothes off is because if it's already 36 degrees, it's already hot.
Yeah.
That's the point I was making. Yeah.
No, you make a great point, which is to say that the direct warming effect of solar radiation depends on the angle of the sun through the atmosphere. So at dawn and at dusk, a lot of that heat is not making it to you because there's a lot of intervening atmosphere, which is precisely which is precisely the effect that makes Earth's seasons so strong. It's precisely the fact that actually the sunlight, not only is the sunlight being spread out over a greater area, it's being absorbed by more atmosphere before it gets to you. That's the key difference.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
3 million miles away, winter or summer. This is the puzzle. No matter, it can be 90 degrees outside, but if the sun at the height of summer is beaming on you, it's roasting you and you can feel it. And the only relief you can get in that situation is to wear a big hat and keep the sun off of your back, or maybe, you're lucky enough to find a tree and get out of the sun for a minute and realize how pleasant the day actually is. Radiant heat is awesome. It's powerful. But the sun's the same distance summer or winter. You realize in the wintertime, now I was also in the military in Germany, and I got my share of cold weather too. And you can go out in the morning and it'll be 28 degrees and the sun pops up.
He said the sun's the same distance summer or winter, depending on where you
not
are.
Quite right.
Depend on where you are.
It's still not quite right though.
It's not quite right because the orbit is elliptical.
Yeah. So
actually,
our summer here in Australia is closer to the sun than the northern hemisphere's summer.
Yeah.
So.
Up on a perfectly blue day, it can be up all day. It never warms up. Now, cold air masses, we're talking meteorology, right? That's a slightly different thing. However, when it's a perfectly blue sky, clear day in the winter, you still can't feel the heat.
Just pause it for a
sun.
moment there, Terry. Meteorology is more than just about cold or hot air masses. It's about all sorts of things. It's not just about cold and hot air.
No, it isn't. But what he's kind of ignoring here is that the reason that the sun doesn't warm you up that much in winter is because it's going through so much atmosphere in order to get to you. The solar radiation is being absorbed and redirected in the upper atmosphere without getting to the surface as efficiently. And once it does get to the surface, it's spread over a larger area. So it's just
the key is to spread over a larger area. Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah. So the whole, his whole argument is I don't know.
Well, he's not really arguing yet. He's just trying to say that summer and winter. Why is it snowing in winter? There's snow on the ground in winter, and the sun comes up. Why isn't it hot?
Well, okay. Well, let's go on and see if he does present any explanation.
It's the same distance as in the summer. You'll go out there at noon and have to scrape ice off your windows because the sun, even though it's blasting your car, doesn't transfer enough heat to get the ice off your windows. But that same sun, at the same distance, at a different time of year, cooks you like a hot dog in the sun, gives you gnarly sunburns, kills all the vegetation that doesn't have enough water. So what explains this? Simple. Look at this picture. Is that sun 93 million miles away? No, it's not.
Yep.
Oh, the old
The reason the sun feels hot in the summer and it doesn't feel hot in the winter is just like the case of the bonfire. It's closer to you when it's your summer and it's farther away in your winter. It's very simple.
Yeah.
If you look at the AE map and you look at where the tropics are, you can clearly see that when it's closer to you, in the northern hemisphere, for example, that tropic causes all those deserts in California, northern Africa, Arabia, and then when it goes to the other end, Australia, South America, South Africa becomes a desert. The sun is close. There's no distance change between the dead of winter and the dead of summer, but the sun feels hot in the summer and it does not feel hot in the winter. On a blue day with no clouds, so you got think about that. Just another one of those things that explains that we don't live on a ball, and that little bit of angle doesn't change a thing. When you see the sun in your face, it is directly in your eyes, and that is what you should feel consistently, because you're still 93 million miles away, supposedly. So chew on that and ask yourself, how come my front porch is freezing in the afternoon in the winter? Even though it's a blue sky and the sun is in my face, I can't feel the sun. But in the summer, it's pleasant, maybe to miserable, but it's warm. You can feel the radiant heat. And you can't feel that in the winter. So think that one over. And see what makes sense to you.
Because
there's so much wrong with what this guy said. It's hard to know where to start.
Yeah, you feel it more in the summer because there is more radiant energy reaching you.
In the summer. I hope so.
Yes, precisely. Because there's more energy reaching you.
Yeah, more energy in the area.
Yeah. Can we talk about deserts? Can we talk about deserts for a second? So Australia's deserts are actually largely south of the Tropic of Capricorn. Yeah. North of the Tropic of Capricorn, actually, it's quite wet and verdant. Similarly, the Belém, the city at the mouth of the Amazon, is 1.5 degrees south of the equator. Where's the nearby desert, you dickhead?
Actually, I thought most of the bits between the two tropics were actually lush and verdant rainforest.
Yes, you're exactly right.
With the desert bands then around them, and then the temperate bands before you get to the Arctic band.
Actually, desert bands tend to be defined by precipitation patterns, and precipitation patterns governed by orography. So you'll tend to find deserts on the far side of mountains from oceans. So inland of the US, for instance, the Rockies prevent the precipitation from getting over there, etc., etc. But it's got
practically nothing to do with the sun.
Yes, practically nothing to do with the sun.
In fact, as you say, the rain shadow effect is pronounced pretty much everywhere, even here in the UK. Around about just on about 2000, certain areas of Essex, which is sort of about 90 miles, 150 kilometres south of where I am, had such a long dry spell that they were actually reclassified from temperate, or whatever it is, to arid.
Yeah.
Only one step from desert, because we just didn't get any rain for nearly 10 years.
Yes, it's and I mean, precipitation patterns depend on lots of things. The wind patterns and the temperature gradients and the pressure gradients over the nearby water bodies, and where evaporated water is transported to. Australia's recent dry spell resulted from a southward migration of the southern annular mode, so that actually the precipitation was passing. The precipitation was basically as normal, except it was just raining to the south of Australia. It wasn't raining over Australia. So there's a tendency for people to really simplify quite complex systems, and it's really appealing. I actually spoke to somebody about Donald Trump, and he said, well, the thing I like about Donald Trump is that he makes everything simple. And I said, well, that's because he's lying to you. All of the simple problems have been solved. What we've got left are the complicated problems. And if he's telling me that they're simple, he's wrong. So it's there is a tendency for people to want a narrative that isn't complex, that they can understand with a simple exercise of intuitive logic. But reality doesn't accord with our expectations in that regard.
This is where flirts come from.
Indeed.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I believe that in a simplified form that was issued by the British Meteorological Office, that dry spell that I mentioned was mostly due to a northward migration of the the northern jet stream.
Yeah.
It instead of sitting where it usually sits, it sat much further north. So the low pressure systems all went further north before they came across the Atlantic.
Yeah, that would be a suggestion. So there's a suggestion that the influx of fresh water into the Atlantic out of Greenland is actually slowing down the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Current, AMOC. I should be able to remember that acronym. But because it's less energetic, it doesn't come as far south on the England/Ireland side. Anyway,
and of course our weather is also complicated by Gulf Stream.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a hypothesis that if freshwater outflux from Greenland becomes intense enough, then that will actually shut the AMOC down, and the Gulf Stream just won't function anymore. At which point, large portions of Europe and the east coast of North America will remember that they are actually at the same latitude as Siberia.
Well, yeah,
and the reason that they're habitable at the moment is because the Gulf Stream works.
Yeah. I mean, I look across at Canada and think, all the people in Canada live south of the UK, pretty much.
Yep, that's right. And it's because of the Gulf Stream transporting hot water away from the tropics that that Northern Europe has such a temperate climate. But if that breaks down, it's going to have a double-sided effect. A, Northern Europe is going to freeze, and B, the Atlantic tropical zone is going to absolutely fry because the hot water is not going to be transported away from it anymore. So it's a win-win as far as wiping out food production is concerned. Any one of you can say something cheerful now.
Yeah.
Hello, I am happy to join you.
I was just Googling a map for the weather stuff, but I thought I could get the right one, but it didn't happen.
Hi, my name is Blue.
Your name is Blue. Do you have big balls, Blue?
I do.
Would you like to see
Okay.
Blue's balls and also his erection?
Yeah, you could show them there. I got even new stuff in the special place, I think.
In your special place?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, you do too.
See, told you.
Yeah, I'll show everyone your erection first.
You're lucky you're not monetized, Terry. You're saying stuff like that.
What? It's something that's been erected, and it's the
my mistake.
pronoun or adverb, one of the two. There.
And it's wood too, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just
and
a
he
noun.
done it in the morning, so it's a good time to do it.
Yeah, I just made that picture a few minutes ago. Big sucker, isn't it?
It is a big sucker.
Yeah, you don't realise how big it is till you see that.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a desktop version.
Well, when you're seeing it horizontal on the floor, compared to the erection vertically, it does look bigger, being erected. So.
I love the carpentry work. Beautiful.
It is beautiful carpentry work. As you were saying in the chat the other day while Blue was showing a video of putting the joins together, that if you'd made a join like that, you'd sit back and wait for a medal.
Absolutely.
I agree entirely. It's just a work of art.
It is a work of art. I'm just so freaking in awe of people who can do work like this.
Yes, because I certainly can't. So.
No.
Well, I can show you my metalworking skills later if you like.
Yeah. It's why I became an electronics engineer rather than a mechanical one.
Yeah, people like me and Blue can get away. We can survive in society, but
gosh, just the quality of the carpentry there is
it's just stunning.
Absolutely, it is stunning.
Yep.
Yeah, but I did have to pick on Blue for one thing. Remember that, Blue? That one?
Yeah. I know. You're right, too.
This one. Spot the difference.
The fuzzy bits.
Blue, if you ever want to come to Australia for a few months and put your hands to some carpentry around the joint, I will reward you handsomely for it.
Yeah, I've got a deck to do.
I sure as hell don't do decks the way I do these things.
I'm so glad you don't have a New Zealand accent too, Terry.
Oh, okay. But it didn't need any
I suppose,
caulking.
while
It didn't need any caulking.
while we're at show and tell, I just dropped something. I just dropped a meme in Fairsucker the Sav that MC Toon did this afternoon, that I think deserves broader.
That's a good example of gravity working at its finest in its vertical positioning of the of how that stands, for the end pieces being perfectly square, leant up against a bench, and it wouldn't fall. And as long as the cement's level as well, obviously.
Yeah. I think the entire thing is you kind of need more intricate observational equipment to make the argument compelling.
Oh, how'd you go with your screw, Blue?
It worked quite well. I don't have the caps. You see the holes.
Oh yeah, that's right. The hole. That's
And
right. You were going to screw it and cap it with those little button ones.
Yeah, I'll put the little button things in that would sort of simulate maybe a dowel, you know. But leave it where we can take it back apart again.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, if this was going to stay in one place, I wouldn't do any of this. I would just glue this damn thing together. It'd be fine.
Well, you'd have to have that laying around when it's all joined together. Take up a bit of room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
it's got to come apart. So.
Oh, hey Huey. We got a huge ass in the peanuts.
Hi, Hugh.
So Blue, what are you stopping it from? Your work is just amazing, but is there any give at all so that it sort of can wobble or get wonky or anything like that, or is it just so really really firm?
It's supposed to be. We'll see how it turns out, but it should be quite solid.
Yeah.
I don't want it moving. I don't want any
that's what I
vibration
mean.
coming from it.
You absolutely don't want any vibration. So I was going to say otherwise. Okay, you're going to put screws in it anyway to make it solid. Yeah.
Here's a video for you to watch while we talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want that thing wobbling around at all. And at the moment, I don't have any bracing designed for it as yet.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to put it together and see how it goes.
Yeah.
But those kinds of mortise, if that mortise and tenon joint is tight, those things are quite substantial.
Yeah.
And those
it looks like it's pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good.
I don't think we'll have a problem, but if we do, it's not a big deal. I'll put corner braces in it to stop any.
Yeah, that's right. You can screw some corner braces. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to be adding crap to it right now until I know for sure it needs it.
Yeah,
true. I got enough projects without adding more to it.
Have a look at the dovetail on this one. I mean, that is just awesome.
It is.
That's a mortise and tenon joint. No, not a dovetail.
Mortise and tenon. On this one over here on the right. See the corner on the right? That looks like a drawer. You know that one?
On his bench.
On his bench. Yeah.
Well, look at that.
Yeah. I think we do have.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try cutting those mothers by hand.
I'd be hanging that out for everybody to look at, and and thumping my chest if I did something like that.
Yeah.
I forgot to show you.
Certainly would.
I forgot to show you Blue's big balls.
Yeah, there's my balls.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Did you make these?
Are they the little ones or the big ones?
That's the big ones.
Did you buy these or fashion them or bore them yourself?
No, I found a company that makes fishing weights, and these are actually fishing weights.
Right. Okay.
And they were able to handily make them up to 50 pounds, and that seems those are the little ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
little 28 ounces.
That is small. That is big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blues balls. Go back to the other one. Blues balls. Go back to the other one.
So these are lead,
Two
are they?
Ease balls.
There's nothing to give scale. There's not a lot to give scale in either picture, though, is there?
No.
Oh, wait a minute. I've got this one too.
So Blue, are these lead or an alloy?
No, they're lead.
They're lead,
Well, I'm sure they have some impurities in them, but
no doubt.
they come out very close to a theoretical calculation of what the weight should be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Usually tin would be an impurity that they might have. That's really nice work. But
I think it's pretty hard to totally purify lead. It's always got a little bit of crap in it.
No, I haven't got that one in here.
One of the
I'm missing
human
missing
bone
a
is
video.
one of the ways to purify lead. Human bone absorbs lead, but it can't absorb the other things like tin, or even the other in the same area of the. So once you've absorbed all the lead into the bone, you can then extract the lead out of the bone, in a furnace, and you'll get pure lead.
I think one of the big is antimony.
Antimony. Yeah.
Antimony, yeah. Antimony and lead often go together.
Yeah, I think you find quite a bit of antimony in most lead.
There's Blue
alloys.
balance hanging his balls. So that's that one.
Yep.
I think we've nearly collected all the. I was missing the one for you did the dovetail, Blue. I haven't got any other a picture or video of that one in there. I'm missing that one, so I'm going to have to.
Dovetail.
Yeah. Well, next time you get a chance, go into your channel in here, and check all the sequence of pictures and see what I could be missing in the sequencing from start to finish. In case we've missed anything. Oops, I don't know.
Oh, I've got tons of stuff.
Yeah.
I've only put just a little bit of stuff in there.
Because it'll make like a slideshow sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to go through and get them all in sequence. And I was curious about the torsion beam, which is as close as I can determine from Cavendish's writings. The same cross section that he used. So that's what I was doing. I was looking to see how much the damn thing would bow without any catenary wires up on the top. And it does take a little bit of a bow, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. But now it's hanging in the box, and it's and you can see the wire, the suspension wire up there above it. One from either side goes up to the top. So really the beam is just a spreader bar at that point. The load on the beam is now, in line with its axis. There you go. So now it's nice and straight.
Here we go.
Interesting.
But that was just a test piece. I wanted to make that thing to see. I just made it out of pine. I'm not sure that that's going to be the best answer in the long run. I may make another. I'll probably make several more of those before it's over with. But it was good enough for a test, Doesn't take long to make it. An hour or two.
Did you make your own bench?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Looks like Oregon.
That thing is, that's a beast. The bench weighs about 350 pounds. Thereabouts. It doesn't move. You can beat on it all day long. It doesn't move.
So you can bump into it and it just stay where it is.
No, you break your leg.
Yeah, nothing bounces. Nothing bounces. Worst thing in the world is to try to take a chisel and chop on a surface that's got any give to it. You just can't hardly do it.
Yeah, true.
It's got to you got to have some seismic mass there.
Very nice stuff. That's what you call a workshop.
That top is solid. It's about 4.5 inches thick. It's very substantial.
So what sort of table saw have you got?
It's just a little contractor saw. It's
Okay.
a portable saw. I don't have room for a full size, panel saw.
Yeah. Okay.
I needed something I could move around.
I got a Triton.
But it's a little Bosch.
Yeah.
They're inexpensive. You can buy the Bosch for a few, $300-400. Yeah.
I've been collecting the Triton's accessories systems. You get the extra table to make it bigger. You get the stand with the roller. I've got only one of them at the moment. I've got the extra top that converts for the router, and I think I've got all the pieces that converts it to a compound saw. And, yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Now my table saw is not terribly accurate. It's like I say, it's a cheap, fairly cheap contractor portable type saw. It's certainly not the sort of thing you would have in a panel shop or a cabinet shop.
Well,
But,
they're good for ripping and mopping and all that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah, I don't use it. I don't use it for accuracy anyway. All I do with the saw is to get somewhere close to what I'm trying. The dimensions I'm trying to achieve. Because the rest of it's all done with those hand tools. That's why I got all those damn planes.
Or you put it through the thickness to mill it down to what you may need.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, you got a thickness there, have you? Okay.
Yeah, you need if you've ever taken a rough piece of wood and tried to thickness it by hand, which you certainly can do, you realize quickly how much work is involved in that.
Yeah,
you can attest to that because you tried to do the edge on one of the pieces of wood, that edging that you were doing, even though you could have done that on a jointer or something, but by hand you could do it for the plane, and you did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Plane a lot longer piece of timber and then cut the edges off, the ends off.
Yeah, it's not that I can't do it. I can do it. I'm just lazy. I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
I don't need any more hours and hours and hours of running a plane down the edge of a piece of wood. I've done a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'm AFK for a minute, guys.
Well, that's all right, Terry. I just found out a little bit of information about your friend of the last video. He's definitely an Australian.
Oh no.
Yeah, unfortunately, he did a video on April the 8th, and it's all about the moon. And yeah, no, he's definitely an Australian. He's got like 3 minutes worth of close-up pictures of the moon. So. But I still can't find him anywhere else.
Just finished watching your video, Pip. It's beautiful. Thank you.
He's going to make a coffee, was he?
Yeah, that's right.
I think so.
I'm in the kitchen. Has Tony got any future panel interviews or anything coming up? I didn't get to watch all your Four Beardsmen thing the other day.
That's okay. So tomorrow morning, bright and early, I'm appearing on Hugh Jass's richly deserved 1,000 subscriber special. On Saturday morning, in my time, I'm appearing on Schrodinger's Cat's channel, where we are discussing the origin of the term Schrodinger's cat.
That should be interesting.
Because apparently his subscribers are interested in that. Yeah, I've also been asked to appear on the Shills this coming weekend. Yeah, so that's my appearances this weekend. AB Science wants to do something about rainfall patterns and climate change.
Easy little beaver this week.
Yes, in demand apparently, but
The climate change will be fun.
yeah, I expect it to.
Right up my alley.
I had a great chat with AB Science. I don't know if you've had a chance to speak to him or not.
I don't think so. No.
Okay, he's
certainly my field of expertise. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'll come and watch that.
Okay, well, I might suggest that he reach out to you then, because he's a British scientist with, and I'm not sure exactly what his connection to climate science is. He seems quite knowledgeable. So my expertise in climate science just comes from, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the book Principles of Planetary Climate.
I haven't read it, but familiar with it.
Yeah. Okay. I read that back to back 3 times. That's
Right.
and I've read some other books, but that to me is the one that sort of explains everything in terms that I can get a grasp on. You know, I haven't actually tried to make my own radiative transfer models or that sort of thing, but he certainly shows you how.
Yeah, there's some great papers around, worth reading.
I did want to ask you why you chose to do his hangout at so early in the morning. Is that because you wanted to cater for more of the American British audience?
So it might be because you wanted to get a lot of British people on. When I did my 500 subscriber, it turned out that the first 4 people that I wanted to have on there were actually all from England. So I just decided to make it convenient for them to be on. And perhaps he's gone the same way. But no, I didn't quiz him upon it because I assumed he did it for good reasons.
Yeah, so that's usually the most logical reasoning. That way.
Sorry, Phil, you were about to say something?
Oh no. Oh yeah, I was going to tell you that I did quite a lot of work on the climate change as it affects the Indian subcontinent.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
So I got invited to this government committee, and we're no longer looking at climate change. We're looking at climate adaptation. So that's what our theme is looking at. Climate change is over and done with. We're not stopping that.
Well, we're committed to it, and we've got to hope that some of the potential positive feedbacks don't kick in, though they seem to be kicking in anyway. So there's evidence of methane emissions from Siberia and clathrate outgassing from the Southern Ocean. So at least a couple of feedback mechanisms seem to be getting into gear, which is a weird. Which is going to make things worse than we had anticipated. But as you say, exactly. Adaptation is the only response.
I think that's we should be. I think in Western countries we should be talking about adaptation. We're not. So the Indians and the Chinese are talking about adaptation. They finally realised that they're not going to this isn't going to stop, and therefore you'd better try and work out what you're going to do about it. And now the model is actually on the inputs that are there now, assuming that it's not going to change much. You know, what are the effects going to be? So that's and modeling the effects. So this is what we're doing at the moment. It's looking pretty bad, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so I seem to remember coming across a paper that suggested that in 60 years, 60% of Asia will be too hot to do manual labor in. So there's a so it's a and of course, if that occurs without them being able to sort of, they're dependent on manual labor for their agriculture at the moment. So if that occurs, and we seem to be a couple of decades ahead of time on that, because there are already periods in Pakistan where it's too hot for them to do manual labor.
India,
quite concerning.
No, it is, and the other thing about it is that the other thing is that it looks as though permanent glaciers and ice on the Himalayas will be gone. So
so the Chinese seem to be in the process of damming water flows that would normally go into India and redirecting that water. Which is
on their land, so they can, and that's what. So yes, unfortunately, that's true. But the problem, one of the problems that we have with the Ganges, so they've allocated lots and lots of little groups to work on the Ganges, and so there's the Yamuna and the Ganges, the two rivers in India that currently have almost sufficient water, but almost all of it is unusable at the moment. Yeah. So, and the thing about it is that we've got to remember, all of this water comes from the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Right. And when it stops, when these glaciers are no longer there and only are a winter feature, there's as if there isn't enough trouble now, as if there's not enough drought now. Imagine when there'll be no water. Chennai last year had no water in the city. You could not turn a tap on in the city.
That's right. And they were trucking in water. They were trucking in water, right?
Yep.
And that's, though I understand that that's got more to do with sort of water management practices, but it's going to.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we've got a number of prongs to solve with this mitigation, with this adaptation and managing water. Managing the wastewater treatment plants that are not working, and but dumping raw waste into the Ganges and the Yamuna rivers. All of these have to be dealt with as well. So it's a multi-pronged project and huge work. So I'm gonna just be leaving the space stuff to other people.
Right. Okay. Elta here. That's the guy whose work I've been reading. So he's from MIT, has done a bunch of studies in Asia, West Asia, South Asia, and China, I think. Northern China seems to do quite well from the modeling I've seen, but southern China not so much. But there are enormous, as you say, there's beyond just the climate change itself. There's the socio-political fallout of these shortages, and when large populations, with access to nuclear weapons, become desperate for resources. There's a potential for that to go very south very quickly. So it's a.
Okay, you two finish filling in airtime while I'm ready because I'm ready now.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Well, you want to do something to sort of earn your keep here on the feed, because we're dispensing information.
Okay. Paul,
I just wanted to show that I can be a complete dick if I.
No, I don't think of people in that way.
Right. Okay.
Paul, how are you with anything this week?
Yeah,
Did you have
just-
anything
just-
prepared or unprepared?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, not quite as long as last week, but yeah, I do have something we can go through.
Okay, something you can pull
a
out
little
of your
bit.
hat or whatever it is.
Yeah, I will. I'll just get it up.
And
so
we
to
do,
speak.
and we do have that other option too. One day of those can't remember what the conversation
Yeah,
was now. Something to do with
Yeah.
labels or instructions or something. There was one. I
Yeah,
think that was one thing.
yeah, I might work on that after I've finished this bit. So last week we did all the way up to 0 AD, didn't we?
Mm.
We did sort of like the Iron Age and the Bronze Age, and then up to there. So this week, let me see. Okay, is that up?
Yep.
You got that?
Yep, we see it.
Good. Good. So this week we'll just go from 0 to 500 AD and see what was sort of discovered then. It's not quite as not as much as what you'd think it would be, because it sort of leads into the Dark Ages a bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So not a lot was really done there, but there was a lot going on around India and Greece and China in those days. So the first thing we've got to come up here is Heron, hero of Alexandria. He discovered a formula for calculating the area of a triangle. It's called Heron's formula. And let's see it down in the bottom left-hand corner here. So if you add up all the sides,
it's chopped off a little bit for the
okay,
for the
yeah.
outside.
So basically what Heron's formula is, if you add up all the sides of the triangle, you get what's called the perimeter, and if you halve that, it's called the semi-perimeter. And then Heron's formula is the square root of s minus a, s minus b, and s minus c. You multiply all those together, and you get the area of the triangle. So you don't need to know any of the angles or anything like that.
Well, I won't ask Riley about it then.
Yeah, he wouldn't have a clue. Next, in 100 AD, you've got Menelaus of Alexandria describes spherical triangles, thus foreshadowing non-Euclidean geometry. So back in those days, they already knew about spherical triangles. Not spherical trigonometry, but spherical triangles, and how they didn't add up to 180 degrees. Cool. Then you've got a method of dividing called the galley division method, is developed in India and China. And apparently this method of dividing numbers is quite complicated, but it's a precursor to our modern day long division. There's an image of it down in the bottom here. It's probably been chopped off a little bit, but the reason why they called it galley division was because after you've completed the division, you end up with something that looks like a galley ship. And so that's why they call it galley division. I've tried to figure out how it works, but it's horrendously complicated. But apparently they did it by that method for about 1400 years.
Wow.
So,
and I have noticed that in maths, that I've seen a couple of videos of different ways you can actually do different mathematics, whether it be division or and I thought, well, why isn't everyone being taught these different ways of doing it? But no, they're just either forgotten or they're just not known about. But they still give you the same answer, but they're just either complicated or sort of easy. But yeah, it's different anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was one of the big impediments to progress in mathematics, was the sign value number systems like what the Egyptians had. It was horrendously difficult to. It wasn't easy to do things like division and multiplication with those number systems because of the way they worked. And so, inventing a different number system was kind of like a big step towards progress in mathematics.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the.
So the next thing.
Are you talking about the number system or the method?
No, the actual number system itself, because the number system itself places impediments on how you can go about doing division. It limits the methods that you can use for actually doing division and multiplication. Okay. Yeah. So then in 150 AD, Ptolemy comes along and he writes his big work called the Almagest, which contains evidence of the Hellenistic zero. So this is the first instance of a zero being introduced into a number system, but it wasn't the zero that we're familiar with now. It was kind of a bit of an ambiguous zero. They used it at the ends of numbers, and they used it mostly, though, in decimal places. So it wasn't quite the same as the zero that we had now, but it was a bit of an improvement on having no zero at all. It was different than the Babylonian zero. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then he also had formulas for calculating latitudes and day lengths. So Ptolemy could actually calculate the day length given a particular latitude. So back in those days, yeah, they definitely knew that the Earth was spherical because they could use that information of latitudes to calculate the actual length of the day. And Ptolemy formalizes the epicycles of Apollonius. So this epicycle idea that Apollonius had, Ptolemy actually worked out all the mathematics of it. And so he tried to explain the planetary movements using these epicycles. Ptolemy also publishes his optics volume, in which he discusses colour, reflection and refraction of light. So he understood that light could be reflected and refracted. And he actually had tables of refractive angles in his book on optics. So he was actually measuring angles of refraction. He hadn't devised a formula relating them to the angle of incidence, but he definitely was measuring them.
Yeah, we were looking into the optics side of things in when we started our ancient technology series, which we've still got to get back into. The crystals and optics, for the optics they used back then, must have been so crude at first, but it must have still gave him enough information at first to even postulate some of these observations that they were calculating and figuring out.
Then Galen, you know who that dude was? He was the one that started really studying anatomy. So he looked at pigs in particular. He started dissecting pigs and looking at the anatomy of pigs and working out exactly what was going on inside pigs and relating it to humans.
I wonder if he liked pork.
Maybe. Yeah. And
what
then
else do you do?
Eat your dissections. Well, I know in the days, and I've already mentioned this before, in the days after electricity was first discovered, they started experimenting with electricity and what it could do, and they started electrocuting animals to see how much electricity it would take to electrocute animals, and they started with small animals and then worked their way up to bigger animals. And apparently it was the done thing to have dinner parties where the roast of the day was first killed by electrocution. So the electrician would come in and kill the chicken by electrocuting it, and then they would roast it and eat it. That was sort of like the highlight of the dinner party.
Well, what have we got today? Who's been electrocuted?
And some of that was actually Mary Shelley's inspiration for writing Frankenstein.
Yes, it certainly was. Yeah, that's right. Then in 210 AD, we have negative numbers coming on the scene. So negative numbers are actually accepted at this time as being numeric by the Chinese. So they were actually part of the number system, and they were really considered as numbers. Liu Hu writes down laws regarding the arithmetic of negative numbers. So he actually worked out some Liu Hu. I don't know how you pronounce that name correctly.
Okay.
So that's my best guess. So he worked out some of the basic arithmetic of negative numbers. Yeah. All right. Then we go onwards, and we're up to 300 AD now. So in 300 AD, we have Diophantus discusses linear Diophantine equations of the form ax plus by equals c. So he started figuring out equations like that, being able to solve linear algebra problems. Then we have the same dude, also uses a primitive form of algebraic symbolism, but it didn't last long because they kind of forgot about it after a while.
Oh.
It sort of didn't make its way through the Dark Ages. So he started using symbols to actually represent unknowns and stuff like that. But it sort of lost its way and didn't progress. Then in 400 AD, we come along. The modern fundamental trigonometric functions of sine and cosine are described in India. So they're already starting to look at circular functions in India in 400 AD. And a square root finding algorithm is discovered in India. So they use an algorithm to calculate the actual square root of a number. And there's an example of that being done up in the top here, the third diagram from the left. That thing that looks like a long division is actually an algorithm for working out the square root of a number. So you can do it manually. It just takes a long time. Yeah.
We were taught that in school.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't have to be taught that at school. I used a slide rule, and then calculators came along. And we had the grey book of mathematical tables that we could look things up like that in too. So I was never taught that algorithm. And then
sucks, by the way.
Yeah, it did. It looks like it sucks because it looks like it's long and complicated for something that you can just press a couple of buttons on a calculator to do. Yeah. And then in 400 AD, the Hindu-Arabic number system with place value is developed in India. And it treats the zero as an ordinary numeral. So here, finally, in 400 AD, we get a zero that it's just like an ordinary numeral, and it has a place value like an ordinary numeral. So that's where the zero sort of really came into force. Then in 499, I'm just guessing this is sort of roughly towards the reason why I've put 499 there. It's because it's roughly towards the end of the 5th century AD. Aryabhata discovers the formula for the square pyramidal numbers. So the square pyramidal numbers, we already talked about the triangular numbers, where you have like triangles of balls and they add up to a certain number. Here, if you make square pyramids out of stacks of balls, those are called the square pyramidal numbers. You can see up in the top right hand corner here that 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 16, that gives a square pyramid, and that's the square pyramidal numbers. So he worked out a formula for predicting what the totals would be in the square pyramidal numbers, and also one for the simplicial numbers, which are the sums of consecutive cubes as well. So they're starting to get quite complicated mathematically here. And then the same dude describes a numerical algorithm for finding cube roots, and also an algorithm to solve the Chinese remainder theorem. So he could calculate cube roots of numbers now too. The decimal separator is developed in India. So that little decimal point that we use between the fractional and the whole number parts, that became a thing in India only around about the 5th century AD. And then modern fraction notation is used in India, where we have the numerator and the denominator with the vinculum in between. That's the modern notation that we use today, and that was developed around about 500 AD.
What's the word you use for the in-between of the two numbers?
The vinculum, V-I-N-C-U-L-U-M, vinculum, is that horizontal line that divides the numerator and the denominator.
Oh, I've always wondered what that was called.
Yeah, well, there you go. And then in 500 AD, roughly, the elliptical orbits of the planets is discovered in India. So it was actually discovered a lot of time before Kepler and Galileo actually found it. So that was observed in India almost 1,000 years before those dudes actually formalized it and put an equation to it. But yeah, they were noticed that the planet orbits were elliptical. And orbital periods.
I was going to ask, how many planets did they know about back then? Do we know that?
They probably would have only known of the Galilean ones, so they probably would have only known Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn, and Mars.
Okay.
The elliptical, and the orbital periods were calculated, and eclipse timings were predicted, and they were pretty darn good with the eclipse timings too. So they were able to calculate the orbits of the periods of the orbits of the planets fairly accurately back in those days. And there was this guy, I think it was this Aryabhata guy. His method for predicting the eclipse timings, was so accurate that he used an underlying heliocentric model for his astronomical calculations, and his predictions were so accurate that he predicted an eclipse would happen on the 30th of August, 1765. So that's over 1,200 years later. And his prediction ended up being off by 41 seconds.
Wow. That's close.
So that is pretty close. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And there's another guy that made predictions based on a better knowledge of the planets and stuff, but his prediction ended up being out by about 68 seconds. So this Aryabhata guy, his model was really good. It was really good at predicting.
But back in his day, no one else would have could really 100% believe him if he's predicting so far into the future. Go, oh yeah, right.
That's right.
We're not going to be around to prove this.
Well, it must be one of the longest predictions ever waited to be verified.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to wait 1,200 years for this prediction to be verified. Yeah. But they figured that out by looking up. He wrote a book, and in it he put tables of eclipses and motions of planets and stuff like that. And they actually looked up in his book and found that eclipse predicted. Yeah. Wow. So I thought that was pretty good.
Is it true back in before all this time period that there was people out there that knew about eclipses, like for the solar eclipses and that, where they'd know when a solar eclipse was next solar eclipse was going to be, but they only knew that themselves because they studied stuff, and the general masses would think it was a heavenly or
that's right. Yeah,
something.
Yeah.
This person said that this was going to be an eclipse, and it happened. Yeah.
and a lot of the earlier predictions of eclipses were, not to the second or minute or even like that. They were just like, it might happen sometime this week, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, next Tuesday, if you don't bow down to me and give me all your gold, I'm going to. Well, there is going to be an eclipse or something.
I'm going to block out the sun. But there are a few guys that obviously knew a lot more about the movements of the heavenly bodies, and but then a lot of that knowledge was lost in the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
So,
but none of their the things that they did were presuming the shape of the Earth or what we lived on in the first place. It's just what the observations and calculations came up with.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. But like this guy, he actually did use an underlying heliocentric model for his calculations. And I guess that's one of the reasons why his calculations were so good, because he was using a model that was, unbeknownst to him, pretty damn close to correct. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all I've sort of got for you.
That's good, Paul.
Today.
Great.
So just short today.
Yeah, short's good.
Yeah, next time we'll follow on with from 500 up to about 1,000 or so, and And then after that, we'll sort of go in smaller time bits, because then the knowledge explosion really starts happening. So a lot more gets discovered in shorter periods of time.
I know
Especially
this is
after
not
the development of the scientific method.
Yeah, the first scientific method, which is something that I looked into on my ancient texts, was how they developed the wheel. That was one of the first things, and I tried to look back into history to try to figure out how it would have got invented, and which would have been the first ones. We sort of did find them, but it was interesting even just searching that to try to find out what information we could find.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
Thank you.
That's your lot for today.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because where our ancient tech came right up to the Dark Ages, and it's through the Dark Ages is like where everything gets a bit hazy, trying to find out what bled through to past the Dark Ages. Well, they called it the Dark Ages not because it was dark. It wasn't as if there was a solar eclipse every day or something. It was just dark as in a lot of information was suppressed. It got, I think, churches and Christianity came about, and there was a lot of wars and things like that.
Actually, if you look at if you look at the Dark Ages in Europe, the main reason they're dark is that there was lots of turmoil, and it ended up with not a lot of writing getting preserved.
Yeah.
So but when you look at the art, I mean the art, the art and the like that was around at that period. I think you might agree that the Dark Ages were very far from dark in Europe. It's just there wasn't a lot of paper, there wasn't a lot of records survived because the places that stored the records kind of got destroyed in warfare a bit.
Well, soon as
the skill.
Sorry, Tony.
The skill of writing. So when a society gets highly stressed, then non-productive skills tend to be lost. You need to be able to sort of keep people alive in order long enough for them to learn how to write and read and that sort of thing. And if you stress a society, then these skills that we consider to be zero cost, they actually get thrown by the wayside because people have to go out and get themselves food. It's only when you've got a sufficient food surplus that you can actually sustain useless bastards sitting around doing mathematics or reading and writing. And so so the breakdown of the Roman markets and supply chains and commerce and that sort of thing basically led to people being too poor to be able to learn how to read or write or keep records. So we just lost a lot of the record keeping that the Romans did because they could afford to.
Yeah, and I think also it didn't help that all of the writing was done in languages that the people didn't actually speak.
Yeah.
So it was only the church really that did it. So the church kind of had a bit of a monopoly on.
Yeah.
On writing.
Anyway.
Soon as Pip's not in here for the questions, I don't know what I'm going to have to do to jump forward to our last set, which I'm not prepared for at the moment.
I'm not prepared for that.
I wasn't prepared for that.
It's all right, Ken.
I told you my debate with him fell through.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me one little bit.
No.
Did he give you the same spiel that he's given others? I'll only debate you if it's a pre-recorded video and we send our pre-recorded videos back and forth.
No. Basically, there was a guy called Standing for Truth, who was the intermediary, who was doing the negotiation, who insisted that the debate had to be on his channel. And I said, well, I'm not interested in debating you on your channel. He said, oh, and he got very snippy about it. And I said, why are you making excuses? Are you too scared? To which my response was, A, infantile insults aren't going to incline me to accept the debate, and B, I don't like you and I don't like your channel. So, hoof it. But
I will say, I can't remember who he was going to debate, and it came down. It might have been Cats. It might have been Conspiracy Cats for the final time, and the new rules that he stipulated was that Cats had to pre-record his argument and send Kent a copy of it, so that then Kent could then respond to the pre-recorded. And that's how the debate was going to go. It was all going to be pre-recorded to and fro's. Obviously, so that he could use his friend Google and make up some crap along the way.
Yep. And that's just that's clearly not a meaningful way to do a scientific debate of any sort. So, but I can understand why he wants to do it that way, because he's a charlatan with nothing important to say. So, But I have to say that he clearly fears me less than he fears Cats, because there was no mention of that being there was no mention of that being the condition on which he would enter it.
I'm just grabbing.
Anybody else can speak. Like, when I finish speaking, other people can speak rather than just let it yawn into,
It's all right. Silence, a few seconds silence here and there doesn't hurt YouTube, Tony. They're kind of used to it occasionally.
See, Tony, we've got to make sure it's not a comma at the end of your sentence, and it's an actual full stop.
Yeah. Okay.
We do have to be careful if we try and keep conversations going, or quite often we'll ebb into the direction of something like cars or something else that we can keep talking about.
So you don't want us to talk about carpentry and cars and stuff like that, Tony, do you? You'd rather talk about maths and science and physics, wouldn't you?
Well, I can just sit here and pretend that you guys are interesting. I mean, I do that.
So we could think the same way when you're talking then.
I'd assumed that was what you were doing.
Shush, shush, Terry. You'll find out. Shush.
There you go.
You would be right.
All right. So have you guys heard the latest hubris that's going around in the flat Earth world? Apparently, this guy called Dr. D or something like that.
Dr. John D.
Apparently, Dr. John D. I don't know who he is, but anyway, he's so this is somebody with a PhD who thinks that the Earth is flat. That's got me stunned already.
Yeah.
All right. So apart from the fact, and science in a field of science too. So that's even more stunning.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's even more stunning. So now, so Dr. John D has found a photograph with a bunch of windmills on, and this has caused quite a flurry of hubris in the flat Earth world. And I'm just wondering if any of you guys have got some time to have a look at it on Ranting Channel and just debunk the bloody shit.
Okay, sure. I mean, I'm happy enough to. I find it very difficult to believe that anybody with a PhD in physical science has any time for flat Earth nonsense, but I could be,
There could be some eccentrics among us.
Yeah.
But then he's got to live with that thing, because I mean, for goodness sake, he's put his name out there. Well, he hasn't really put his name out there, so
yeah.
So he's just a troll, I reckon. Must be.
That's all he is. Dr. John D, I believe, claims to have a PhD in spectroscopy.
Really?
That's not a science that you get.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't. I've never heard of it before. So.
Well, certainly not any sort of graduate degree would finish up in spectroscopy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like saying I have a PhD in lug nuts. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
let's just give him the best out. He must be a troll, because there's no chance, not a chance that he wouldn't know that the Earth is a sphere for all sorts of reasons. So, so I don't buy that. Anyway.
No, I don't.
You do know it's sad, Professor Phil, when he can't even spend 5 seconds on Google going, what can you get a PhD in? Enter.
Yeah.
And then choose something that's actually under the list of PhD type material.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. Yeah. So let's deal with the photograph, and then the rest can speak for itself.
Okay.
Because hubris, we've got to knock it on the head. The only hubris allowed is with us.
Well, I thought I would just share that for a few minutes, because
that's a wonderful picture of Mars, Alan.
Yeah.
Well, considering that I haven't even got a telescope.
Yeah. Well, and for those that follow Thunderfoot, he's been touching on this a few times now, that it's Mars is as close to the Earth as it will be for the next 15 years. So it's a absolutely perfect and unique time to for those that have got the facilities or access to a telescope to go and take a picture or have a look. And it's
so you've taken this with the camera, have you? Your 50D, is it? D50.
That is actually my son-in-law decided that he not in huge great need to have his 550 EOS 550D, and I actually used that because it's not much different, but it is a marginally more packed sensor, so it has a fraction more resolution.
Yeah. Okay.
And when you're doing stuff this small, even an extra pixel or two, an extra 2 pixels counts.
Yeah.
Because this is like that image was like 50 pixels wide on a image that's over 5,000 pixels wide.
Yeah. Very nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah, because I only have 600 millimeters of focal length.
Yeah.
Whereas the average telescope people are using is going to be more likely to be sort of 1,500 millimeters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and focal and honestly, focal length always wins. And I do apologise for the noise outside. I live in a farming community, and the farmer is farming in the field next door.
Well, that might be the hum people were hearing earlier, Alan. It could be.
Yeah, that's why I've been muting. But it's a bit awkward to mute when you're actually trying to speak, but I will.
Enough of your excuses, Alan.
So
Well, I'm going out to look at Mars.
Okay.
Wonder what the let's call up Bomb here and see what the weather's like without going outside.
Well,
Peter, what's
yes.
it in Melbourne?
What was that, Professor Phil?
Yeah, what's
the weather like?
tonight?
Oh, just let me take 5 steps to the front door. Hang on.
While you're doing that, I'll play a 2-minute 50 video of Wolfie. I don't know if Wolfie did this or not, but it's Earth shadow passing geostationary satellites, 30, 15 and 5 frames per second clips.
It's absolutely a beautifully clean, crisp night out there. I can see Saturn and Jupiter high in the sky. Mars hasn't risen as of yet.
Okay.
So,
what time will Mars rise, do you know?
if you give me just a moment and I'll click a couple of buttons and I'll tell you.
It's so freaky watching star trails when you lock the target or unlock.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Geostationary satellite.
Well, they just blacked out. I wonder why. It
The
disappeared.
Earth got in the way.
All right.
Oh, is that what? Okay.
All right. So Mars has just come over the east horizon now. Not for me though, because I've got a couple of mountains in my way. I won't see it for probably another 20 minutes, half hour.
Yeah.
And you've probably got about 2 hours before the moon will rise. So if you get pictures of it in the next 2 hours, you'll get them without the extra illumination of the moon.
Yeah, sounds good. I won't be able to get a picture, but at least I'll go out and have a look at it.
I'll be honest. I actually had a try probably about 4 or 5 days ago.
And
but because I've only got 200 worth of zoom on my camera, I think Mars came up as 4 pixels. So
okay.
Yeah, it's just not quite enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. All right, thanks for that info. Lovely.
Tell you what, I'm glad Wolfie uses the Zulu time zone.
The sats went to light speed.
Makes me feel all warm and comfy inside.
This is so cool how the satellites start blinking back on again.
Mm.
So you should be able to see geostationary satellites that are being moved around to the graveyard orbit.
Well, look at that. We got the blinking airplane that just went past.
Yeah.
You missed that.
Here's the satellites going.
Yeah, that was cool. That.
I even went out the other night and the ISS did a really nice pass of was it minus 3.6. So
There you are, Tony. That'll give you an idea of the stuff that I try to learn. Everything from the math guy to a baseball going, whatever, and something to do with restoration and one old little motorbike.
There you go.
I'm all over
Renaissance.
The place.
You're a Renaissance man.
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Well, whenever Terry puts up stuff like his cars, drives me into spending hours and hours looking up HQs and Tiranas and stuff like that.
I've just never been a car person.
Oh no,
never been my beat.
Boys love Holdens. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't have one now because I gave up loving them after they brought in Commodore. I said,
Yeah.
bugger that. That was the best car they ever made, or HW. I know, WB, I think. And
Yeah, WB's after my model, yeah.
Yeah, WB. And then after that, they ruined it with Commodore. I said, well, bugger off, forget it. I've had enough of that. And but any Holden before that, I'm in it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a nice restored EJ or EH
Oh, yeah.
Premier. That would be nice. Have you ever driven one of those?
Yeah, I've driven a few old cars like that.
Armstrong steering.
There's my shed. I can't work in the shed very much. I have to move the old wagon out of there.
Yeah. So that's a HZ Kingswood, is it?
Yeah, that's the HZ Kingswood wagon.
Yeah,
V8, of
nice.
course.
Oh, what, 253 or a big
Yeah,
one?
yeah. No, it's only a baby 253. For 308, it gives more fuel, but to get more horsepower, obviously.
Yeah.
But the 253 can get
Yeah.
up and go with just a few little tweaks here and there.
When I converted my panel van, Terry, from a 253 to 308, I actually used less fuel because, yeah, well, on the freeway, it's just idling along anyway. But the predominantly, well, from what my experience was, I think it was more of a case of with the 253, you put your foot down more, so you used more fuel to take off.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Where the 308, because it had more power, I was less inclined to put the foot to the floor to take off.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but putting your foot to the floor in a 253 was bloody good fun.
Yes.
And I've only got a 3-speed auto in that. It's not a manual either.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, a Trimatic. Yeah. Okay.
If it was a 4-speed,
Traumatic.
Yeah, traumatic. Yeah. If it was a 4-speed, if it was a 4-speed on the floor, yeah, it would have been all right.
Yeah. Good old 3 on the column.
But I could.
That's the way to go.
I'd yell 3 on the tree. Well, I could turn the Tirana into a 4-speed 308. That would be fun.
Oh, you'd get a bit of money for that.
Pip, you're out there. How can you do the quiz if you're not in here? You're going to try to do it from the peanut gallery, Pip?
Anyway, I'm going for a walk outside to have a look at some stars. I'll be back in a bit.
Okay. Take care, Phil.
And Pip, it's
Lovely
pronounced
to see
Dave.
you.
And it's pronounced Davies.
No worries, guys.
It's pronounced Davies. Pie parrot.
Hey, Terry, just while Pip's getting ready for the quiz then, I've got 10 questions here that are pretty simple questions, but they surveyed American people, both normal people and college graduates, and you'll be astounded as to what percentage gets these questions right or wrong.
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah, so the first question they asked, and you'll be able to get most of these right, I'll predict, Terry.
I don't know. You have high hopes, mate.
No, it's pretty. The first question was true or false? The centre of the Earth is very hot.
Oh, okay.
I beg your pardon?
These are 10 questions that they asked American people and college graduates. So, true or false? The centre of the Earth is very hot.
I'd say true. I'd say true.
Depending on how you want to measure very hot, but yes, by most standards, yes, very hot.
In comparison to what? But yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the answer is true. But of the general public in America, only 85% got that right.
Wow.
And only 89% of college graduates got it right.
What?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about Americans here. We're talking about Americans here.
Yeah, yeah. So the second question is true or false? The continents have been moving their location for millions of years and will continue to move.
True.
No
True.
shit.
Yeah,
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, but only 81% of Americans knew the correct answer for that.
Oh.
And only 87% of American college graduates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Question 3. Does the Earth go around the sun, or does the sun go around the Earth? Come on, Terry.
Oh, do I have to really answer that one? It's so simple.
Yes, but apparently only 73% of the American public got that one correct.
Wow.
And get this, only 83% of college graduates.
Shit. What do they live under a rock or something until they learn the facts?
So
Paul,
there is
does it? Sorry, Tony.
That's okay. Carry on. Ask your question.
I was just going to ask. Does it say if the college graduates were doing an arts degree?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
right.
That is what
apparently,
I'm prepared to blame it on.
What's that, Blue?
So there is another side to this.
There probably is.
So in intelligence IQ tests, for instance, apparently it can make a 20-point difference in an IQ test if you are prepared to give the person $10.
Okay.
So the performance of people in exams that they see as otherwise pointless or a waste of their time isn't necessarily an accurate reflection of their state of knowledge.
Yeah. Okay, question 4, Terry. True or false? All radioactivity is man-made.
Radioactivity.
Now that's getting to be a little bit more tricky.
I know we can get other forms of it. I'd say false.
You're correct, because there is naturally occurring radioactivity.
Yeah, I was
absolutely. Yeah.
Why
But
we
apparently
don't
only
install radio telescopes.
Yeah, 70% of Americans got that one correct. And only 80% of college graduates.
Wow.
True or false? Electrons are smaller than atoms.
Electrons are smaller than atoms. Oh, I don't think I'll be able to answer that one.
Okay.
Whoa. Okay. Yes, they're much smaller.
Yeah,
A
true,
lot.
of course. Because electrons are part of some of the components of atoms, yeah.
Okay,
right.
so the atom's one part, and then
than-
there's
yeah.
bits and pieces inside the atom. Okay.
Yeah, an electron is one of the bits and pieces, yeah. So, but
And had
apparently-
you watched my most recent video and paid attention, you would know that.
That is true.
Yes, but apparently less than half of Americans got that one correct, and only
Apparently
59%
less than
of college graduates.
Apparently less than half of Terry's were paying attention last week.
I was probably making a coffee, Tony. I'm sorry.
I really want to know what college these idiots have graduated from.
Yeah, that's what I reckon too.
They damn sure would not have made it out of my college.
No. True or false? Lasers work by focusing sound waves.
Lasers? I don't think they've got anything to do with sound. So I'd say false there.
You would be right. 45% didn't know.
Was that in your lecture,
45%
Tony,
knew the
on
answer.
your thing the other day?
And 52% of college graduates got it right.
What? Only 52%?
Only 52%. Yep. Yes.
See, I'm getting
This
the questions
question
right. I'm getting the questions right that have got
Yeah.
nothing to do with Tony's thing the other day, so I don't know what
I
that
see
means.
Yes, that's right.
I see the
seen
problem. I understand what the problem is. The first question, which isn't part of this test, is, are you a college graduate? It turns out that 50% of these people got that wrong.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Now this one here is a bit controversial. All right.
Oh, okay.
So, true or false? The universe began with a huge explosion.
No. Well,
yeah.
my understanding.
That's really
Up
tricky.
until the early 70s or 80s, it was led to believe that it was the Big Bang, but that had been started to get questioned.
Wasn't it? Wasn't it the term the Big Bang is a deception in itself because
Yes.
That's right.
it's
That's
not
the
really
problem.
a bang, it's an expansion.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's what they said. They said the answer was true, but they qualified it with the Big Bang was more an expansion than an explosion. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. with
Sounded
that
clever
question.
for a
Yeah.
second.
Not a very good question, I don't think.
Malformed
Okay.
question.
Question 8. True or false? Is it the father's gene that decides whether the baby is a boy or a girl?
No. False.
You got that
I'd-
one wrong.
I'd disagree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
that one's
I
true,
think you're
Terry.
wrong there.
Yeah, you're wrong there.
The mother always hands down an X chromosome.
Yep.
Your only chance of getting a Y chromosome comes from your father.
Yep.
Okay.
Though we are operating under the assumption that people only end up with 2 chromosomes. That isn't always the case.
Yeah, so overall, 59% of Americans got that one correct, but only 71% of those with a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
What are they?
shocking.
It's got to be a Bachelor in Arts. It's got to
Yeah.
be. They were too busy out smoking dope or something.
All right. Question 9, almost there. True or false? Antibiotics kill viruses as well as bacteria.
False.
Very topical.
False.
Yes, that's correct. It's false. Yeah. Just over half of Americans chose correctly at 51% and compared to 73% of college grads.
So the Americans got the non-college grade Americans ranked worse than random chance.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
basically give the reasoning behind my answer?
Sure. Go ahead.
A virus attaches itself to a cell that's or something, not so much the actual the other word. Shit, now I've forgotten the word. I know it attaches.
You're right, Terry.
I know the virus attaches itself to the other thing.
Viruses reproduce by co-opting the reproductive mechanism of a cell. So they insert themselves in the DNA of a cell and co-opt that cell to make more of itself, more viruses. But bacteria are different, and antibiotics typically work by preventing the bacteria from multiplying. So they don't necessarily kill the bacteria; they usually prevent it from multiplying in some way. Question 10, true or false? Human beings, as we know them today, developed from earlier species of animals.
True. Well, I thought you were going to say apes then, but not.
No.
Lucky you didn't say
Yeah,
that.
it's true, yeah. But apparently only 52% got that run right. As for college students, 63%.
I thought you were going to say apes at the end of that sentence, but lucky you didn't.
No. So there you go.
Well, I'm not going too bad. So I have learnt something over the 12 months that I've been on YouTube.
You have.
Yeah. Just not anything from my video that
I was just going to say.
It's all right, Tony. What we'll do when Terry mirrors it on his channel, we'll make him watch it as he mirrors it.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. So, Team Skeptic has been speculating about the concept of getting an electroshock bracelet that his subscribers can set off.
Yes, we heard about this.
And I can now see the merit of this, and I'm prepared to contribute to getting one for you.
I've got to run, ladies and gentlemen. I have a doctor's appointment.
All right.
See you later.
You take care, Blue.
Thanks for coming in, mate.
All right. Yeah. See you later.
Later, mate.
Okay. Catch you later, Blue. And thank you again.
Okay. Oh, Pip said she had something about a questions that to do with Scottish.
Scottish inventors.
Yeah?
Ooh,
Not a lot
Scottish
of
what?
them. Inventors.
Inventors.
Oh, okay.
Considering
Okay.
we invented most everything.
Ah.
Some of them some of them are quite modern, but a lot of them you'll know.
Okay.
I think there's only 10 questions, so we won't be long.
Potatoes.
Oh,
Oh.
Irish.
Potato peeler.
Potatoes.
Someone else had said it, all the answers will be deep fried whiskey. That's it. Okay, so the first one. James Watt is sometimes said to be the inventor of this machine. This is not actually the case, although he was responsible for developing it. What is it? James Watt. Oh, I need to open my chat.
Look at that.
Yeah, see, that was an easy one. Well done. Fred Bailey was first out there, and Paul and Tony in here. Well done. The steam engine. Now, this is quite a modern one, I would think. William Murdoch from Ayrshire, wonderful place, has several inventions to his credit. This one may be one of his more obscure achievements. William Murdoch. Try to think of a clue. Can't really think of a clue without giving it away.
So what was his name again, Pip?
William Murdoch.
Okay, so he invented several things.
Several inventions. This one may be one of his more obscure.
And we're supposed to, out of the several inventions, I have no idea he's responsible for.
This is why you have a PhD and I don't. You would put it, I guess, on the outside of your house or on a fence or in the bathroom. Yeah, Murdoch invented the A-team. Well done, Dora. No, I don't think I was going to get it. I don't even know what else he invented. But this answer is waterproof paint.
Okay. There you go.
Charles Mackintosh of Glasgow, not the artist, came up with an invention that was first used on an Arctic expedition in the early 19th century.
Really?
Quite obvious when you say the name.
Yeah.
It is quite obvious. I would have thought so. But everybody out there is telling me I'm wrong. So
No, you're not.
No, I'm going to have to give it to Hards and Tony. It was a waterproof coat, aka a Macintosh. Kirkpatrick Macmillan from Dumfries has a claim to fame that comes from an older idea. But it's his development of what that puts him in this quiz. Oh God, that is very obscure. Hang on. Kirkpatrick Macmillan. I honestly couldn't have told you this at all. I'm guessing the older idea would have been a penny farthing. Yep, binary. Bicycle. I shouldn't really have said penny farthing because according to this, it's not the bone shaker or the penny farthing, but the first rear-wheel drive bicycle in 1842. Yeah. Robert William Thomson invented another of the world's most commonly used items. Which is it? Patented in 1846. Ooh, Someone clever out there. Nope, Gary got it out there. Pneumatic tires. It says it was patented by Thomson in France in 1846. Many people believe that Robert Boyd Dunlop was the inventor of the pneumatic tire. He did patent it in 1888. However, 2 years later, he was informed his patent was invalid as it had been predated by Thomson's French patent. Either way, both inventors were Scottish. Ta-da!
Yep.
Okay. James Chalmers of Dundee, another of the lesser known intellects in this quiz, is an individual whose invention has become commonplace. It is used daily by many, many millions of people. James Chalmers.
No, that can't be right.
No, can't haggis. Can't haggis. Sacrilege.
Chambers.
Whoop. Chalmers. Chalmers. Nobody's going to get it. Okay, so the answer is adhesive postage stamps.
Oh, there you go.
As well as a stamp, he's responsible for the implementation of uniform postal rates. That's far too. John Napier from Edinburgh not only has a university in Edinburgh named after him, but is known for promoting the use of the decimal point. What invention elevates him to immortality? I never even get the question finished.
Fred Bailey, you can't just keep saying steam turbine.
Yeah, well done, Hans. And Tony. Logarithms. Dugald Clark of Glasgow was knighted for his work in wartime for his invention of what?
Dugald Clark.
1878.
He was awarded it in 18. He was awarded the knighthood in 1878.
No, he designed it. He designed it in 1878, patented it in 1881, and it was how they could be utilized in submarines that led to his knighthood.
Oh, of course.
Close. But not close at all. Nope.
Intercontinental ballistic missiles. Yeah, that would have won the war against any other night.
And it's not periscope, so carry on. It's what powers it. Almost. John Ramp, I have no idea what that is, but no. Flushing toilet. No, Roy M's going to get it. It was a two-stroke engine.
All right. Okay.
It was his knowledge of diesel engines and how they could be utilised in submarines that led to his knighthood. What did James Paris Lee from Hoyk invent? Notable versions include Lee Enfield and Springfield.
Yeah. Yep.
A specific type of bat. Not that I know anything about them. This was the last question, by the way. You'll be glad to know. That's the fella. I guess that's the same thing, Gary. I don't know, but I want a specific word. Oh, nobody's getting out there. Tony got it eventually in here. The bolt action rifle. There you go.
Yeah, I should have gotten it from the name, actually.
I actually had to try and answer all these questions just to get the answers to come up. And I got 4 out of 10. So well done if you get more than 4 out of 10. That's me. Just popped in to do that. I said I would do a Scottish quiz, so there you go.
Wonderful.
So
Thank you very
nobody
much,
in
Pip.
here got the Tony didn't actually get bolt action because he said rifle first. So you're out, Tony.
Oh, come on.
Oh, Jesus.
He quantified his answer. That's all.
Oh, well, if he'd have put well, I don't know. Could you write the word and then repeat the same word? With
rifle is one. It's a broad spectrum, and
yeah,
and
that's
bolt
what I
action,
thought.
He's specifically mentioned one type. So
Yeah.
so I think it's fair enough.
Okay, so who got the most then?
Not me.
Not me. Not me. I didn't know they
Not
get
me.
any. I got hardly any. That's not too bad, those questions.
4.
Yeah.
I got 4.
Okay.
There you go, same as me.
No,
You're an honorary spot.
That's a good group of questions, Pip. Works well.
It is.
Well, I didn't really have much time to research. I could come up with a better one.
No, but that's okay for an experiment.
No, I think that's a good band of questions.
Yeah. Because that's not the usual way we do it. Like, we usually have questions that are all random and all over the place.
Good.
And we could do the same for Australians and Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've had 2 Australian quizzes.
No, I mean that's in this type of formatting of questions.
Oh, Australians invented anything?
Oh, of course we did. Excuse me. Jeez. Where do we want to start, Peter?
Yeah.
Do
What do you
you
use
want
to mow
to
your
start
lawn
with
with?
Wi-Fi telephones, or do you want to start with lawnmowers, or do you start with Hills Hoist, or do you want to start?
Yeah.
Do you want me to keep going?
Hell's Oils? Hell's Sauce? What's that? What?
Clothesline.
It's a rotating
a
clothesline.
Oh, whirligig. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
The jump stump plow.
The whirligig, Pip, the one that's commonly called the children's playground when mum's not looking.
Yeah.
Up until a certain age.
And then they bend it.
It's too big. It end up like mine. Mine's a
No, then you work out physics by having 2 children of the same weight swinging opposite diagonally across.
Yeah. And then you work out the yield strength of the materials they're made from. Yeah.
Oh dear. Sorry, I can't press buttons at the moment. My hands are busy.
Oh, anyone would think you're rolling a smoke. Well, there you go. There's another one. The dual flush toilet system.
Yeah, as the Americans call it, one for number 1 and one for number 2.
All right, but okay, I've got one of those. Didn't know that's why it was.
No, I know. I never thought of it that way, but
No, that makes sense.
yeah, it does.
More water in the big flush.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I shall see what I can come up with.
But what if you want to do a number 2 and you want to use the half flush?
My question, Terry, is if you do a number 1 and number 2, do you have to push both buttons?
So that'd be a okay. That's a number 3.
Number 3. Yeah.
You remember before they brought that out, as in manufactured the actual dual flush, they brought out a little device that you hung over your float lever, and they handed that around to everyone, and they also handed out the shower head.
So you're not
water-saving
in my
shower head
house.
and the weight for the toilet system.
You know what happened in my house, Terry?
Mm.
Dad said, Pete, go outside and go grab one of those house bricks off the pile over there.
Mm.
He immersed the house brick in the cistern
Mm.
and said, "There you go. We're on half flush now."
Mm. Yeah,
Fixed.
That works. I always do a number 1 when I do a number 2, but not always a number 2 when I do a number 1. That's too much information, Gary. Okay, how long have we been boring these peanuts for? 3 hours and 20 minutes roughly. I've got a video of Baldy Cat's oh no, what did I do? I start again. Put my teeth back in. Oh no, what did I just do? I messed up. Okay.
That was a retraction video that he made, Terry.
Oh, okay. Well, is there something
made
else?
A small
precursor?
mistake.
Was that a precursor to a video that I should be playing?
Yeah, he released the other video, I think about 24 hours beforehand. So if you scroll,
Go back in
guessing
there.
You're
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I'm in there now.
Show your stuff.
Yeah. Okay. How far up do I got to go? Past there.
There it is. So it's up on the 7th of the 9th.
7, 9. Today, yesterday. Go through all yesterday's. Shit, how many people do I shill? 7. Okay, here we go. Baldy Cats. Can I help an ex-world champion snooker player see sense? That goes for 22 minutes.
Yeah.
It is quite long, yes.
Okay. Okay, I might have to leave that because that goes a bit too long. I'll go and watch Baldy Cat's last video back on the 7th before you watch the retraction one. Other than that, we might give that.
But I will point out, it shows how honest the man is.
Mm.
You know, as soon as he realised he made a mistake,
yep,
straight back in front of the camera and makes another video and says sorry. And this is what I should have been saying.
Yeah.
Mm.
He screwed up his Koch's postulate. Okay.
Ox postulate.
Postulate. Okay. Not Koch's prostate. Okay, I thought that's what it said.
No, Kochi's someone else, Terry.
Oh, okay. I'll get myself into trouble. Oh, we'll just leave you with Pip's story then for tonight, fellas. We've been going for long enough, I think. So, I'll say our goodbyes after this, and we'll play Pip's video.
Choice of 2 today. I did one on Saturday as well.
Oh. Do you just want to have a double Pip?
Oh, double feature.
Or we save this one for Saturday.
Oh, everyone's seen it. It don't matter.
Because I don't want to play this one if we've missed one.
You haven't missed one. It was an extra. After that stupid guy in his sunny side of the sun.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. No, we'll do this one. Alright.
This poem was written by Valerie Crossley, and it's from her book called I Still Wish I Was Pam Ayres. Bulges. My leotard was rather snug. In fact, it was quite tight. My shape was rather frightening. How could I put this right? There were unsightly bulges where bulges shouldn't be. I glanced at that cruel mirror. That surely wasn't me. My other half said, join a gym. He knew I wasn't happy. He could tell the way I slammed the doors and was always rude and snappy. Well, sure, it was okay for him who never gained a pound. But we're not all stick insects, as you no doubt have found. I took my courage in both hands and signed on the dotted line. The gym instructor shook my hand and said that I'd be fine. The weigh-in was a wake-up call. I know I blushed with shame. How could I weigh so very much? Those doughnuts were to blame. A little of what you fancy is okay, I'd been told. So was that just a wicked lie, a falsehood we'd been sold? Eat much less and move much more was now the message preached. So I would need to work quite hard, or my goal would not be reached. You need to lose 2 stone at least, the gym guy said quite loud. I wished the ground would swallow me. I'd attracted quite a crowd. I thought they were all staring as I reddened to my roots. I knew I had to grit my teeth and tone up those bad glutes. My buttocks weren't the only thing that needed some attention. My flabby pats were, sad to say, too numerous to mention. Well, now I was determined to do my very best, so jumped upon a treadmill and joined in with the rest. Those others all looked very fit. I wondered why they were there. They were all slim and svelte-like. I felt I might soon swear. Their designer outfits were so chic and fitted like a glove. They didn't have huge bulges. Should I give that one a shove? A different machine was offered. It was called a vibration plate. It made me wobble from head to toe. I was getting in a state. Then the gym guy said that I could stop. I'd done enough today, and I should come back Wednesday to continue with the fray. So I went back twice more that week, though my muscles were so sore. I knew I had to bear the pain, 'cause that, you know, the law. I look back now to those dark days when my body was not a shrine, and as I've now lost half a stone, I'll down a glass or 3 of wine. The end. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the wee bell notification. Thank you to all my wonderful subscribers and patrons. See you next week. Bye bye.
Well, you know who you all are. If the ones could be directed to.
Self.
Oh. Yeah, I think I should get out there and do a little bit of exercise. I'm not overweight, but still. Oh well, thanks. Oh, Alan's muted, so he won't be able to hear me. But anyway, thanks, Alan. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Augustine, Jean, Fresnel. Thanks, Pip. Peanuts. There was Hadge, John, Room Fondle. I did see huge ass out there. David. Who else? Fred, Gary, Point laugh. I don't know what happened to thank God it's flat. He
Professor
was
Phil.
He started. Professor Phil was on here too, yes. And who else did we have? Dora was out there. Zebulon. Oh, Andrea. Hello, wonderful person. We missed that.
Yeah, Andrea was here.
Dora. No, they're all. I think I've gone through everyone. I've scrolled up a fair way. Oh, Brimfondle. Okay, if you haven't
Sable
typed in
Eagle.
the chat, if you haven't typed lately.
Sable Eagle.
Oh, I don't. Oh, Saber Eagle's out there too. Okay. Brainery saying thanks for the stream. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brainery.
Gary IOL.
Gary.
IOW.
Yeah, Gary. Thanks, mate. Pip says, don't forget 1,000 subs special for us. It'll be 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And 9 p.m. tonight for the UK. All right then. All right. Okay then. Thanks, panel. Good night, panel. Good night, Peanuts.
Good night, Peanuts.
Night.
Good night, Dick Nuts.
Did you say Dick Nuts?
No, I said Deek Nuts.
Oh.
Their scientific name apparently is Corylus dicana.
Oh my God.
Oh, well, there you go. They are Dick Nuts.
Oh,